Hello and welcome to the Actual Tech Media MegaCast. My name is Jess and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information to cover with you. Let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. Now, if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Also, keep in mind that if you have any tech issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you. So throughout today's MegaCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all of your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentation. And if we do not get to your question during the webinar, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us today will be following up with you after we wrap. All right, next up on our tour, there are going to be lots of cool aha moments in the MegaCast today, and if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there in your audience console, and the hashtag for today's MegaCast will automatically get added to your post. And our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the Handouts tab for some resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection of solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. And if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes we will be giving away throughout the MegaCast today. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. You do need to be in attendance here live at the webinar in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all winners after we wrap the MegaCast today. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, hey, if you're not sure what those are, no problem. You can find the full T's and C's in that Handouts tab. Again, just click into the Handouts section, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find the full T's and C's waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember here today is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. In today's MegaCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all the questions asked after the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about winning, and we will get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the MegaCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going. So let's connect on social. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content right away after we wrap, you want to jump right in, make sure that you subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and to grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you're going to find a link to do that right there in that Handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected after we wrap today. Now, both you and your coworker, your friend, could win a prize, and we actually hold those drawings every month. So be sure you refer somebody awesome before you head out today. It could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your Handouts tab and fill out the application. Then the Actual Tech crew will match you with some vendors that we think you should be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you can choose to join in, like surveys or test running new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you will learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker in your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, how to prevent and recover. The site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. So go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books are going to work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and they are completely free, super easy. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in the handouts tab as well. Okay, well, we've covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get rolling.
I am excited too, Jess. Thank you so much for that introduction. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Actual Tech Media MegaCast. Today's topic is one that is on everyone's mind, I am sure. Supercharging IT in 2025. We are almost there, and that means you're thinking about, well, what does the next year hold? What are we going to see? What's coming around the corner? Well, that's what we're talking about today. So I want to start by saying a big thank you for being here today. On the MegaCast, we have got some of the industry's heaviest hitters. You can see the list right there. It includes Nutanix, Atka, Rubrik, HPE, and NetApp. Now, those are some companies you are going to be eager to hear from, and I cannot wait to hear what they have to say also. So let's work on getting over there. As for me, well, my name is Keith Ward. I'm with Actual Tech Media, as you may know, and I am so pumped to be your moderator for this incredible MegaCast today. Our other mods, who you're going to be meeting in just a couple of moments, include Mackenzie, Scott, and Jess. We call ourselves the Mod Squad. So you'll see why here in just a moment. So with that, let's talk about the prizes. And we've got some amazing prizes today, an incredible lineup, including $300 Amazon gift cards after every presentation. And in addition to that, we are giving away 3 new 13-inch MacBook Airs. Now, these are fantastic machines. In fact, they are so good that I bought myself one maybe 3 weeks ago or so, and I absolutely love it. And if you get one of these, you are going to love it too. Like, I take it around everywhere with me. It almost never leaves my hand. Maybe that says some bad things about me. But anyway, I love it and cannot wait to give these bad boys away. So, with that, let's get us a little bit closer. Again, we have got a rockin' keynote today featuring all 4 of us. We are going to be suiting up and getting ready to talk about our look ahead to 2025 and what the IT industry can be expecting. I really think you're going to like this one. So let's get going. Mackenzie is kicking this sucker off. We are all ready. So let's dive on in.
Hello and welcome everybody to Oracles, the show where our expert moderators peer into the future and based on some factual information, their current mood, and most importantly, their sixth sense or gift of the sight, they will be able to predict what is to come in 2025. Today, we are going to break this soothsaying session into 3 categories: the future of cybersecurity and ransomware, the future of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and the future of cloud. I'm sure you're excited to get started, so let's introduce our oracles, shall we? First up with the gift of sight for cybersecurity and ransomware is Jess Steinbach.
Hello. I don't know what oracles do with their hands. Hello.
That's exactly what oracles do with their hands.
Thank you.
Next, we have the all-seeing eye himself here to give us his hallucination-free visions on AI and ML. It is Keith Ward.
Hello.
Beautiful.
No promise on the hallucination-free, however.
That's fair. No one can promise that yet. And finally, descending from the clouds him to join us and share his knowledge of all things cloud is Scott Becker. Welcome, my oracles, welcome. Now, those of you who are skeptics may doubt the validity of our moderators' responses, but not to worry, I will be checking each of their predictions with the infallible wisdom of the Magic 8 Ball. For example, let's do a little test question here now. And I think what we will ask is Keith, in fact, the cutest moderator?
I'm channeling. Don't let us down, 8 Ball.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible, Keith.
Yes.
Accurate.
All right. How do we feel about that? Validity has been checked, no?
Anything is possible, Mackenzie. I feel...
That's it. That's entirely impossible to argue with.
There we go. That's the true way to check facts, is anything's possible. Anything's possible. All right. Well, enough of this silliness. It's time to consult our oracles. Jess, are you ready to share your predictions for cybersecurity and ransomware with the audience?
Yes, Mackenzie, I have been channeling all day. I have been pulling in from the universe, and I'm ready with my 3 predictions for 2025.
Lay it on it.
Let's do it. All right. Number 1 prediction that has come to me through the clouds of the future: zero trust. This approach will dominate. We are going to see widespread adoption. We're going to see more organizations fully embracing zero trust architectures, where verifying identity and authorizing access are that ongoing process. We're moving away from the traditional perimeter defenses, the moats and the drawbridges and all of that, and we're going to accept the zero trust domination. And I think AI will also be a big part of this and will play a role in the evolution of zero trust, and the tools that we're seeing play a part of that. In fact, I am going to go so far as to say that this year, zero trust will become the standard security framework for critical sectors, including healthcare, finance, and government. Are you ready for prediction number 2?
I am. We are.
Generative AI will change cyber defense as we know it. And the reason I'm saying this, generative AI will enable the creation of more effective defense strategies by automating threat detection, analysis, and response. And it's going to lead to faster action time. On the flip side, the dark side of this prediction, attackers are also using generative AI to craft more convincing phishing attacks and malware, and that forces us to use those advanced AI tools for rapid identification mitigation that we were just talking about. And around this cycle goes. The faster they get, the faster we need to be. So we are going to see more and more AI-driven security tools. AI-enhanced tools are going to evolve and get into that predictive analytics, that proactive defense mechanisms. I think we're really going to see the rise of that proactive defense as a result of AI. That is prediction number 2. Are you ready for my 3rd and final prediction?
Yes. Sounds like we are ready.
We are resoundingly ready. My 3rd and final prediction: ransomware is not going anywhere and will continue to dominate cybersecurity strategies. We are going to see this because of things like evolving business models, like ransomware as a service. The rise of ransomware, the continued rise of ransomware as a service, is going to continue to lower that barrier to entry for attackers and increase the frequency and sophistication of ransomware. We are also going to see the continued targeting of critical infrastructure, attacks on essential sectors like healthcare, energy, and finance, which is very upsetting. As a human, I'm upset by that. As an oracle, I know that there is nothing that we can do to prevent this except maybe attend webinars like this. Those are my 3 top predictions.
What do we think, oracles? Scott, Keith, does this feel true to you?
Yeah,
I'll
those
defer to the Magic 8 Ball.
those are okay. But I have an additional prediction for Jess. I predict that within a few months, Jess will be reading palms at Mardi Gras.
Yes, I want to see your lifeline, Keith. I'm gonna give you some good predictions.
Okay.
I think he has a long, thick lifeline. All right. Well, let's defer to the Magic 8 Ball, the all-knowing 8, the infinite 8, as I call it myself. And we're going to ask, is Jess correct? like it. It sure looks like it.
What a smart 8-ball.
What a smart oracle. Well, let's see if our other oracles are just as wise as Jess Steinbach. Next up, we have the fantastic soothsaying Keith Ward, who is going to be telling us his predictions for generative AI, AI in general, and machine learning. Keith, are you ready to share?
Keith is ready to share. Thank you, Mackenzie. And fantastic is exactly the right adjective to use about the monk/oracle before you. So why don't we get going? Prediction 1. AI will lead to better use of automated IT operations, aka AI ops. AI and ML are going to revolutionize IT operations with AI ops platforms capable of automating incident management, resource allocation, and root cause analysis. Now, these systems will use predictive analytics to identify issues before they occur, reducing downtime and improving system reliability, which is a good thing. And by eliminating repetitive manual tasks, AI ops will free up IT teams to focus on ways to move the business forward via strategic innovations and improving efficiency and productivity in managing complex environments. Prediction number 2. Boosting software development efficiency. So what's going to happen in 2025 is we're going to see a big leap in how AI-powered development tools assist in coding, debugging, and testing software, which is going to significantly reduce development cycles and therefore time to market, which, as we know, is the whole game nowadays. Low-code and no-code platforms are going to become more accessible, enabling non-technical users like, Mackenzie, for example, to contribute to software creation. Okay. Prediction 3. Our final prediction of my part in this, making cloud management more intelligent. AI-driven tools will optimize cloud resource usage, balancing cost and performance in real time. This is a huge deal as cloud costs can quickly spiral out of control. Now, these systems will predict usage patterns, automatically scale resources, and manage data distribution across multi-cloud environments, which is basically impossible for a single person to do. This shift is going to enable organizations to maximize ROI while still maintaining operational efficiency in cloud architectures that are becoming just insanely complex. And that's all I got, except for the fact that AI will overthrow its human masters next year and take over the world, if that bothers anyone.
Oh, shoot. I had so many plans next year.
Yeah, but you can say when next year.
Fair.
I
Yeah.
hope the 8-ball saves us from this fate.
Yeah.
He is very confident that AI will take over.
Yes.
If he, let's say, should he be confident? Let's find out.
I don't know. I don't think Keith has been in touch with the right ancestors. My spirits are not telling me that we're... Oh, come on.
Sure, why not?
There you go.
The world.
That's
There
a
you
bit
go.
blasé, though. This is like a very French attitude towards the
That's
end.
a...
Spend
This is-
all
this isn't-
spend all the money in your 401k before next year.
That's
There we
the
go.
key take. This is an AI 8-ball telling us that we should be very laissez-faire about the takeover of AI. So I feel like that's extra scary.
It's playing coy. It's playing down what we should be worried about.
Maybe.
Maybe. Why not? Why not? All right, Scott, are you ready to let us know what you have gleaned from on high about the cloud?
Well, I guess I'm ready. Although, now that we know that we've got the Terminator future coming for us in 2025, thanks to
What's
Keith.
the
I don't know if
point?
there's a point,
Yeah, maybe we
but
should just wrap this up.
I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot
Well,
me.
I'm here, so I might as well do it. Let me get prepared.
All right. Ooh.
All right. So I'm going to go with 4 predictions for the cloud in 2025. Number 1, cloud native applications are going to dominate. These technologies are continuing to come into their own. I'm talking about containers, Kubernetes, microservices. These are going to be the default application development types of high-scale applications and new applications where the designers are looking for scale and headroom. These technologies have been proven at places like Facebook and Netflix. Streaming problems with the Tyson fight last weekend aside, and the rest of the world has taken notice. Now, number two, piggybacking on what Jess said in security and what Keith said about AI, artificial intelligence is big for cloud too. All the major cloud providers are integrating AI more deeply and broadly into their cloud services. Look for more pre-built offerings, more robust customization options, additional machine learning services, and democratizing access for businesses of all sizes, and less technical users like Keith. Number three, hybrid and multi-cloud strategies is the norm. The adoption cycle of cloud is maturing and following the pattern we've seen with a lot of other technologies. Now, cloud was exciting. It seemed like a panacea and people went all in. Now everyone's figuring out what the niche is for cloud, and they're putting those workloads in the cloud. Now, to be clear, that niche is almost too large to call it a niche, but there are still things that run better on premises or on a desktop, and those things are going back there. Meanwhile, there's growing interest in multi-cloud to avoid vendor lock-in, improve resilience, and optimize cost. And speaking of costs, my fourth prediction is to look for an increased focus on cloud cost optimization in 2025. With rising cloud expenditures, look for those opportunities in 2025 to leverage AI and other tools to optimize spending, improve forecasting, and maximize ROI. I have spoken.
You sound pretty confident to me, Scott.
Scott's the spookiest Oracle.
I was going to say, I can use the flashlight on my phone to look just as spooky as Scott can.
Wait, oh. I can't. It's not going well for me.
With their phone light.
You have to make it a yes or no. Is it Scott?
Scott without a capital. Sorry, Scott.
If it's not Scott, it's obviously me. I'm nailing it. Definitely Scott.
Definitely Scott.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree. You're really bringing the lighting game up, Scott.
Thank you.
Is Scott's wisdom valid? What's that?
I don't care about that.
I don't. No, it's all about the effects. We don't care if we're right.
We just
Look
broke the
fantastic,
magic 8
so.
ball with that question.
I would think so.
This 8 ball is very affirming.
This is a
is.
very,
I want
very
this
happy
8 ball.
8 ball. Yeah.
To affirm a lot of my other life decisions. That'd be nice.
Yes,
That's right.
This is now how we're making all our life choices.
Like, should I put down a down payment for this? Sure.
Yes.
Why not? Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
I'm going
You're
out
excellent,
after this and
Oracle.
selling my organs. So,
This
this keynote's going off.
for his organs.
We're going off the rails. The oracles are off the rails.
Oracle's Off the Rails edition. Okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in to Oracles, and thank you to our mod squad for sharing their predictions. I do think it is time to get back to the MegaCast and supercharge your IT from now and onwards into 2025. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, wait, hang on.
Nice. I have to cover my face again. Bye-bye.
that didn't work well. Okay, so I have a confession here. It's possible that my prediction about AI taking over the world was made up. I didn't actually have that come to me somewhere from the great beyond. So take that for what it's worth. I think you can all rest easy. But we will see, right? Who knows what's going to happen at this point. Now, I hope everybody enjoyed that. I sure did. And I do have one more prediction for you right now. I predict that you're going to love the MegaCast today. All right. Okay. That was sort of lame-o, but you can't hit a home run every time, right? It was still a lot of fun to do, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. And we have now got the event's first poll question for you, the first of many to come. Let us know your time frame for adding new or updating existing IT solutions at your company. 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 12 to 24 months, and not sure. Let us know that. This is important feedback for us, something we need to know about, like to hear about, something everyone else likes to hear about, and keep voting in that. And I do have to say also that I think it's also clear that, as we said right at the beginning of that keynote presentation, that I am the cutest of all. It's just, straight facts here, folks. So enough of that nonsense out of the way now. This has been a fun MegaCast so far. I hope everyone is in agreement on that. Take another minute to vote, or another few seconds actually, to vote in our first poll before I move along to the first presentation in the MegaCast today. Thanks everyone for voting and continuing to vote. So with that, let's get going into the main event. What do you say? This session comes from Nutanix. Presenting from Nutanix is one of my very favorite people, one of the best presenters. We've got Sean Donahue, Senior Solutions Marketing Manager. He is joined by Harsha Kodaleka, Director of Product and Solutions Marketing. Now, as an added bonus, Mackenzie is going to join them for some Q&A at the end, so stay tuned for that. Sean, it is always great to have you here, so I am going to turn this over to you right now.
All right, welcome everybody to the session addressing the Broadcom aftermath with modern AI platform. And I am thrilled, as we said, to be joined today by Harsha Kodakela. And Harsha and I, we work together closely. We're going to cover everything from the Broadcom aftermath and using enterprise AI as that force factor in changing your platforms. So first, I want to welcome Harsha to the virtual stage. Harsha, take it away and fill me in on the Broadcom changes.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. This is super exciting to be here. And I think this is the first time we're doing an event together, right? So I'm very excited to be here working with you. And also, obviously, this is one of the hottest topic in the market. So I'm glad to be here and discuss on what's happening in the market. So to start off with, right, by now, I mean, everybody knows, you know it, right? Broadcom acquired VMware, they made a ton of changes. Many people are not happy. You see it on Reddit threads, you see on people talking about it, right? And you even see some lawsuits happening, right? So one of the recent studies that Gartner released is essentially they're saying that by 2024, they see that 30% of VMware customers, they're going to transition from vSphere, right? And not just Gartner, even Forrester has some similar research from it. And even from my own personal experience, talking to, doing different EBXs, talking to customers, they're all planning, right, how to mitigate this risk and move on from here, right? So this is something that is happening, and they're looking for another platform. So what do you think, Sean? I'm sure you going around and talking to different customers, you might have heard about this as well.
It is. It's truly that experience of now is the time to make a transition and shed the burden of the tech debt that we've been living under for years.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, the way to think about this is, right, is it's an opportunity. I would see that this is an opportunity to build that one operating model across applications. So before I jump into the slide on what we build up here, right? I wanted to just talk to you about what do I mean by one operating model, right? So since VMware virtualization started, right? Things have become tremendously complex for IT departments, right? You have now clouds, not just one cloud, AWS. We have multiple clouds. The second thing is you have so many applications, right? Now everything is application driven, right? And that reminds me of this IDC research that they've done where they're saying about 750 million applications that are going to come out soon, right? They're coming up. So that's a lot of applications for IT to manage. And the third thing is data, right? Like now you have data sitting in the data center, you have data coming from the edge, and then you have data in the cloud, right? So, we see that it's a prime time to have one operating model that could help with manage all this, manage applications, different applications with data across emanating from everywhere, right? So now jumping to the slide, right? Like, what does Nutanix do? This is actually a slide on Nutanix on how they evolve, right? So on the previous slide itself, Sean, right? Like, so let me just walk them through how Nutanix evolved, right? So we started off with, we innovated with hyperconverged infrastructure, right? Essentially, our founders saw that, there's a challenge out there where you have three-tier based architecture, right, of compute, network, and storage being different, right? And they brought this idea from hyperscalers, actually, right? That and then they built the hyperconverged infrastructure, and that essentially took the first workloads we started off with, providing the web scale architecture and start off with VDI. From there on, we built that modern infrastructure, right? Basically, kind of private cloud. And we help with the business critical applications, workloads, and databases, right, to take care of those applications. And the next, how it evolved is we see now hybrid cloud. Cloud has become big, right? And as I was saying, multi-clouds, right? So now you wanted one platform that could actually help with DR kind of use cases, elastic DR to the cloud, right? Giving that flexibility from on-prem to the cloud. So that's how this platform evolved, right? Like from a hybrid cloud platform. And finally, now I think we're going through the next phase now, right? Is the modernization. And I know you're going to talk about this more with the AI, how we're helping. But modernization with Kubernetes essentially to give that portability, right? Like, because you have so many infrastructure environments. So to give that portability, that's the next phase, right? What is that one platform that can help you with enterprise AI, Kubernetes, and those applications, right? So this is how our platform evolved, and it's keeping up, innovation is keeping pace with what are the business and IT requirements and helping them with providing that one operating model across all applications. Okay, so that is about overall how our platform evolved. Now, but the next question is, you might be thinking is, okay, so what do I do with, how do I get started? Right? Because I already have a three-tier architecture. I already, been using this, and how do I get started, right? So for that, a good way of thinking, actually, this is something that I've learned from VMware customers who have implemented the strategy of, diversifying to another vendor, right, to Nutanix. We call it 3Cs to make it easily rememberable. 3Cs being constrain, convert, construct. So whatever your de-risking plan is, right? If you're bringing another vendor like Nutanix, or if you're planning to move some of your workloads to the cloud, right? Constrain the environment infrastructure that where you don't want to invest more, right? In this case, if you're moving away from vSphere, constrain any further investments in it, right? Or don't put new workloads in it, right? So that's the first step. The second step is convert. Convert is every year, I've been in IT before, right? Every year there's some kind of upgrade going on. There's some kind of application upgrade, or you bring in new storage, something, right? So take that opportunity to move those workloads, modernize those workloads in the new infrastructure platform that you want to move to, right? That's a step one. And as well as, right, we've been talking to the customers, Sean, right, about AI workloads coming up, right? This Kubernetes container workloads coming up, right? So when these new workloads, you're creating these new workloads, construct them on the new infrastructure. There's no point in putting those, again, new workloads on the old infrastructure, right? If you want to move off from there. So this is a good way of thinking on how to execute this, de-risking plan that you have. So now talking about construct, right? Like the new construct application that we see coming up onto the IT landscape is, Gen AI applications, right? So let's talk about it. So Sean, I know you are an AI evangelist. So what are you seeing in the market?
Well, it works perfectly into what you were just talking about, Harsha, because I love what you were talking about as far as don't deploy new workloads on that legacy existing infrastructure that you've been carrying around for years. And I know some people like to carry around the infrastructure. It's what they're used to. It's safe. It's comfortable. But now is that seminal moment for administrators in IT departments to take advantage of. And when they look at enterprise or generative AI workloads, now's the opportunity to get that infrastructure up to speed and modernized to be able to handle that new enterprise AI solution and the deployment of it. And I love what Harsha was saying about deploying it in containers and in Kubernetes, and you can call it cloud native if you want to as well. Because if you're sitting in the VMware or the VM legacy of your virtual machines, and you think of all the overhead and all the dependencies that come with them, the containerization or Kubernetes is the modern way to deploy these newer applications, generative AI being one of them. And another thing that stands out to us, Harsha, and I know that you've seen this in your conversations as well, is we've seen almost an entire flip of the approach to technology, to this enterprise AI, where 49% of CEOs, and how could you do a presentation without a good Gartner quote? That's what I always say. So 49% of CEO respondents plan to include generative AI in their future productivity planning. So the leaders are saying yes, and they're really charting the course for generative AI to be deployed, as opposed to how it has always been, which is the IT department and the IT staffers are the ones who are driving the adoption of the new technology. So if my CEO is adopting this new technology, then you better believe that I'm going to be looking at ways to optimize that and get the best unprecedented productivity gains and revenue growth and that value creation that enterprise AI is driving for us. And I'm looking to it to help me make those better decisions and boost my innovation across the entire organization and really give me that competitive advantage in the marketplace. And that's what our leadership, that's what CEOs are calling for now. But you may be sitting there now looking at this webinar and listening to Harsha and myself, and you may be asking yourself, well, okay, what is enterprise AI? And I know that that's the question burning on the top of everybody's mind here today. There's two questions burning on the top of everybody's mind here today. Number one is, Sean, is your shirt supposed to be that tight? No, it's not, but that's irrelevant to the conversation. The number two question on the top of everybody's mind here today is, what the heck is enterprise AI and how is it different? In enterprise AI, it's that concept of enterprise AI in organizations delivering or using AI value while retaining the resiliency and day two operations and compliance required for traditional business critical apps, and treating enterprise AI apps like the mission critical apps that we've been using for years and years. I think back to my roots in VDI, mission critical apps that we have to have those day two operations in mind, and security and privacy are always paramount for that. I get choked up and emotional when I talk about these things, Harsha, as you can tell. But now, so when we're talking to customers, and Harsha, I know you're out in the field as well talking to customers, and I'm headed out the door right now to talk to customers as well, is where are they seeing the greatest benefits for AI in their enterprise? And we have bucketized them or categorized them into three areas that we're seeing as most common. Number one, greater, better security in leveraging AI models for fraud detection, threat detection, alert enrichment, and automated policy reactions. The one I really love, accelerate code and content creation. Using AI and using AI with the LLMs that I can get from LLM, large language model repositories like Hugging Hugging Face, and of course NVIDIA, and then optimizing, tuning them with my own corporate data to help my developers actually create new content, debug content, test code for a better experience, and really get me that 40% efficiency gain of those developers using my domain-specific information. And of course, supercharging that customer experience. Nutanix, drinking our own champagne, creating a support chatbot that enables our support engineers to get accurate, precise answers based on natural language queries instead of actually reading 10, 12 support KB articles, and giving that customer that experience, that beautiful customer experience that's kept our net promoter score above 90% for the past several years. And it's an amazing opportunity for all organizations to see these benefits as well. Now, we, of course, are bringing something to the party here. We're bringing something called GPT in a box to enterprise AI. And it's our turnkey validated solution that simplifies the AI adoption for organizations. It gives you that secure and resilient platform for all your AI data, and reduces your total cost of ownership, and actually gives you a predictive cost model as opposed to going with a hyperscaler, which is an open-ended cost model as well. So this is the introduction of GPT in a box, and that we have just updated as well. Breaking news, recently you saw a new introduction of GPT in a box 2.0, and something that I'm going to sneak peek for us here today. Harsha, don't get upset if I actually let some secrets out on this webinar here, but we're talking about GPT in a box 2.0, and we're talking about what I already discussed, that turnkey full AI stack, that validated solution. So when customers tell us they don't know where to start, this is an easy starting place for you. It brings you the choice of LLMs. You can get your large language models from valued and trusted sources like Hugging Face and, of course, NVIDIA. And, of course, you could bring your own model, too. That's a huge differentiator for Nutanix in this game here, as well as your choice of Kubernetes. Remember, we said Kubernetes is the best way to deploy AI applications, the inferencing apps, and the models that they live on. And the choice of Kubernetes, yes, of course, you can go with NKP, the Nutanix Kubernetes platform, but you could also go with Red Hat, OpenShift. You could go with some of the hyperscaler environments, EKS and AKS. We invite everybody. We welcome everybody into the party here. And on the right-hand side of this slide, Harsha, you know it, I know it. I have a tattoo of this. This is the GPT in a box platform product stack here. We will invite you all back at a later date to actually get into the platform products in more detail. The one I'm going to sneak peek, Harsha, close your eyes. I don't want you to see that I'm giving away the secrets here. The one I'm going to sneak peek for you here today is the middle one, Nutanix Enterprise AI. This solution that was recently announced to be GA, generally available, gives you, the administrator, that enterprise user interface. It gives you RBAC, role-based access control. It gives you auditing and performance monitoring of your models, of your APIs, and of the users who are actually calling into them. So it gives you an easy on-ramp to getting your LLMs and API keys for your AI application, but it also gives you that reporting and health status feedback as well. It is a great tool. So we want to deliver more information to you on that for sure. Nutanix.com/enterprise-AI. That's just the sneak peek of it. And I just want to leave you with this before, Harsha, I bring you back in for the closer here. And that's a customer reference that I love. And this customer is called Yasat, and it is a satellite company. And what they did with enterprise AI and GPT in a box box, and Nutanix Kubernetes is amazing, giving them all of those solutions to create an AI platform and AI chatbots and assistants, and really to actually increase productivity and efficiency in their AI-powered space technology. Boom, it is amazing. That, of course, is available on Nutanix.com as well. But Harsha, bring me home. Come back onto the virtual stage with me, my friend, and close out this webinar, because I know our back is almost against the wall for time.
Yeah, I know. That's super news, Sean. That the whole Jupyter in the box release. It makes it easy, right? Like I know you mentioned it, but I want to stress it to the audience. It makes it easy to get started, right? And it provides the resiliency that you're used to for your business critical application, provides the resiliency for your AI applications, provides the privacy and security, right? And it makes essentially, converts IT admins into AI admins, right? That's the key part. So bringing it home. So going back to the platform of Nutanix that I mentioned before, right? So Nutanix makes hybrid multi-cloud real. What it means is basically any workload, including, as Sean mentioned right now, right? Your AI applications, even the enterprise apps, right? All these workloads, new workloads are coming up, and anywhere, right? If you want to run it on your data center, or your edge or the cloud, right? Nutanix can provide that common operating model. Right, so that's something that we provide. In addition to that, right, again going back to the whole VMware story of conversion, right? Like so, you have one VMware vSphere platform here, and we're saying that as you move to the new platform, right, like what you have to look for, but you have to go through that journey, the journey of 3 C's that I mentioned, right? The constrain, convert, and construct. Right. And in order to make that conversion easy for you as well, Nutanix provides some tools like Nutanix Move. So Nutanix Move essentially helps you rehost your virtual machines from ESXi to AHV. AHV is our inbuilt hypervisor at Nutanix. So it's a rehosting tool. So this is used by many of our existing customers, many VMware customers, right? They're using this tool to move over those workloads from VMware to Nutanix, right? I have another customer example. I know Sean went through one customer example, but I have another customer example to show that even large enterprise customers, you've all heard about Micron, right? Like they're a global leader in memory space, right? And Micron was going through a modernization exercise as well. They're trying to modernize their manufacturing applications, and they were a big VMware shop, and they've never used Nutanix. And guess what? Who they went with for their helping them modernization? They went with Nutanix, right? Because they saw that for the future of a hybrid multi-cloud, a future of AI, and the future of this common platform, Nutanix provides that common operating model and helps them to get to where they want to go to, right? So this is another great testament of why when you look towards the future, Nutanix provides that best operating model, best platform for you, right? So if you want to learn more, we have other things that you can learn, right? One of the things that we're doing is any new customers, right? Any new who are coming to Nutanix, we have a promotion going on. So take a look at this QR code. We have more details at Nutanix.com at migration offer. So this migration offer essentially gives you 1 year of free licensing, right? And also migration support, right? So this is a great offer. Maybe this is another edition of how we're making it easy for you to help you migrate from VMware to Nutanix. Another thing, if you want to learn more, we have another asset here, 8 reasons why Nutanix is a better alternative to VMware. We've talked a lot about this in this session too, but if you want to learn more, or if you want to share it with your colleagues at your work, right? Like this is another great quick reading asset, like quick infographic where you can read about Nutanix platform, right? So that's all we have had today. And by the way, we have a legal disclaimer just so that just so to let you know that Nutanix is a Nutanix separate company. It's not related to Broadcom or VMware. But that brings us to a close.
All right, excellent. Thank you both. That was a lot of fun, a lot of great information, and well, we do have some audience questions, most of which are about how tight your shirt is, Sean. But I picked out a few that are about the technology, if that works for you too.
That does too, yeah.
All right, I'm not sure who wants to take which, so I'll pitch these or I'll read these out, and then you guys can kind of jump in and comment. So, first one here I've got is from Mark. He's asking, I have my existing infrastructure. Why wouldn't I just deploy an AI solution to it?
I love that. Harsha, I'm going to beat you to it if that's
Yeah,
all right
yeah,
with you. I
absolutely.
won the arm wrestling contest during the break. That is a great one. So that speaks to me on so many levels because I'm a DIYer, a do-it-yourselfer to a fault. So I can understand and rationalize this approach of saying, hey, I have a bunch of spare components in my storage closet. I have some extra GPUs laying around. I'm just going to cobble those together, stitch them together, and I'm going to use those for my enterprise AI deployment. That introduces a level of complexity that we just don't have time to deal with when we're trying to roll out enterprise AI, because unlike some other technology innovations that have come across, we have a certain urgency to get AI deployed in our environments because the CEOs are driving the mandate down and they want to see returns. They want to see those gains that we've been promised for enterprise AI. So taking that approach of cobbling it together, multi-vendors, the expertise that would be involved in getting the whole stack built up, and then the holes that would certainly reveal themselves as you're building it can really be a showstopper. So that's why we want to look to something that is a pre-validated turnkey solution that includes everything in the stack, even the services-led part of it, really to make it quicker and a faster deployment, easier deployment as well. And then you have the validated designs to guide you along the way. So I hope nobody takes the path of learning it the hard way themselves, of trying to cobble and stitch all these components together, but get that turnkey solution and that validated solution. And I know a bunch of people are also going to start looking at cloud as the alternative for that. But a turnkey validated solution for your on-prem enterprise AI environment that allows you to go into the cloud would be a great way to approach it. But I may be biased. Harsha?
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Sean. Like few things I want to highlight, right? You mentioned this is again going back to that enterprise AI infrastructure, right? Resiliency, right? And then second one is day two operations, and then privacy and security, right? So these become even more critical for your enterprise AI applications. The reason because that is your company IP, right? So you want to be careful with that, right? And the second thing is, you want as IT admins, you want to also manage these models, right? So security becomes a big aspect, and the data management becomes a big aspect. So think about it, what kind of infrastructure you're picking for that.
Good point.
Awesome. Thank you. Great answer to that, you two. Well, thank you so much both for being here. I do have to let you go, but if you have any final kind of call to action or point you want to direct the audience if they want to follow up from Nutanix, I know we looked at those QRs. Are those the place to go, or how do they take next steps if they want to?
Those are definitely some great resources to start with. And then, if I'm not mistaken, as a attendee of this webinar, you qualify to receive a free email. And in that email will be links to additional resources that you can take advantage of. But really, your central go-to is nutanix.com/AI. And that'll get you started on everything you need.
Beautiful. Awesome. So definitely head there. We will follow up after the webinar with some additional info, but otherwise, take great care, you two. Thanks so much for being on.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
Thanks everyone for a great, fun presentation and the Q&A. Just such good stuff. Now, Sean did mention that he's got a tattoo, or maybe he was joking, but if he does have a tattoo, I want to know where. So I've got the poll question up for Nutanix. Please let us know what additional information you would like about their solution. I also want to remind everyone, while you're voting in that poll, about the handouts. We've got a link from Nutanix all about their AI solutions for enterprise. Be sure to check that out if you'd like more detail. Now, we do not have, we have to run along here is what I was going to say. We're going to be moving to our next presentation post-haste, but I do need to give away the first couple of prizes in the event today. And we've got the $300 card, and we have our first MacBook Air to give away for you today. And the winner of the $300 Amazon card is Richard Sanchez from Missouri. And the winner of the first grand prize, that MacBook Air 13-inch, is Ron McElroy of Alabama. Congratulations to you, Richard, and Ron will be in touch about claiming your prizes. Michael does not want to know where Sean's tattoo is, so I think we will not ask further about that. Thank you for the advice there, Michael. I think I agree with you. All right, why don't we move on now to our next presentation in today's MegaCast. This one comes from Okta. Presenting for Okta are these three folks that you see right here, Alexandria, Adam, and Todd. They're going to introduce themselves. Thanks, folks, for being here with us today. Cannot wait to hear from you. And with that, I'm going to hand you the virtual mic, so take it away.
Thanks for taking the time to watch this webinar all about workforce identity management and what it means to really do it right. Hopefully this webinar and the data we'll be presenting will be helpful to you as you think about your identity stack and how to optimize it. And that really is the goal today, to give you some pragmatic things to think about putting into practice to improve your organization's ability to manage identities. My name is Adam DiMattia. I'm Senior Director of Research with TechTarget's Enterprise Strategy Group. And I spend all my time asking questions of end users and investigating the answers that they give us to those questions to learn about the direction of today's enterprise IT market. So the subject matter we're going to be talking about today is very near and dear to my heart, because we're going to be looking at demand-side data of primary market research from your peers that shows just how much an organization's approach to workforce identity impacts its success across a whole host of things, from technical efficiencies to security posture to business outcomes. And I'm joined by my colleague, Todd Thiemann, and our guest, Ali Hodgson.
Hello. So my name's Todd Thiemann. I'm the Enterprise Strategy Group analyst looking at identity and access management, identity security. That could be IGA, Identity Governance Administration, SSO, multi-factor authentication, human identities, non-human identities. So that's my background. I've been in the industry on the order of 20 plus years. You can see it with the lack of hair up there. But let me hand the things to Ali to introduce herself.
Thanks, Todd. My name is Ali, or Alexandria Hodgson, and I am a Senior Product Marketing Manager at Okta. I focus on understanding the goals and pain points that CISOs, CIOs, CFOs, and their teams face when it comes to identity. And I've been involved in creating the workforce identity maturity model that we're going to be talking about today. So very excited to dive in.
Awesome. Well, so that's a great lead in, Ali, right? Because this project really all began because Okta has a very strong point of view about what a mature identity program should look like, and how organizations should be attacking that. And so I actually have a visual here. Maybe you can give us a little background about how this point of view, this framework came into being, and
yes,
what it looks
absolutely.
like.
So we've worked with thousands of customers, and through that, we've really been able to see real-time problems that identity is solving for them. And this funnels up to board-level business objectives. So think strengthening cybersecurity, increasing efficiencies, cutting costs. And these are things that businesses are still struggling with. So ultimately, what we wanted to do was create a framework that helps organizations get where they need to go by growing their identity practice. And by working with ESG, we've been able to validate the model and the benefits of maturing your identity practice. So I'm really excited to dive further into those findings today. Before we do, you can see the model here. It has 4 stages as organizations grow through their journey, from fundamental to scaling, advanced, and strategic.
So if we come back to our research, right, and we've talked about the inspiration and then get into the goals, right, the nitty gritty, right, our mission for this research was to test if these recommendations put forward in the Okta framework from real end users and companies, do those folks that are adhering to those best practices, do they actually see materially and demonstrably better outcomes in a range of areas, right? So things like employee productivity, business agility, right? Whether that's onboarding new hires, contractors, other third parties, partners, or onboarding new apps, right? And of course, the overarching security posture of all of that, right? And so the analogy that works really well for folks that I've spoken to about this concept is going to your doctor. You go to your doctor, they're going to tell you you should be eating right, you should be exercising, you got to make sure you're on top of your prescription medications, you should be sleeping 8 hours a night. And if you do all these things, right, you're going to live longer, you'll be happier, you'll be healthier, and you'll get all these great outcomes in your life. And so that's really what we're trying to figure out is what's the analogy or analogous to eating right and exercising when it comes to your identity program. And that's what we're trying to tease out here. So next, we're going to talk about what we think really makes this data set exciting, which is the outcomes we were able to uncover. One of the things that is fun, and Todd, you just alluded to it, right? Sometimes it's scary, right? Which is we don't know what the market's going to tell us. We can craft this survey and think, our hypotheses are solid and our thesis is really strong, but we don't know until we look at the data. But in this case, I'm happy to report that the market gave us pretty strong validation that this maturity framework has a lot of merit. It's on point. And first, we'll talk about, I think, the business outcomes, right? What we're seeing here is that a mature approach, those organizations that have taken that step all the way up to strategic, they are much more likely than their peers who are further back on the curve, maybe those fundamental organizations or foundational organizations, to say that, hey, their identity solutions are an enabler rather than a hindrance, right? Whether it comes to how employees, partners, contractors are collaborating, the pace at which the organization can react to change, how productive their people are. We're seeing across the board, those more mature organizations are saying, hey, our identity solutions are helping us do our jobs better.
On the business enablement stuff, one of the things that sort of jumped out to me is identity solutions strongly enable collaboration. And it sort of brings home the point that it's a team sport. It's not acting in isolation. It's collaboration across the organization. That's one of the things that makes the more effective identity teams succeed, is that sort of collaboration across the organization.
It's a good point, and I think it bears calling out. Organizations' workforce identity environments, they're complex, they're dynamic, they're not just employees, there's contractors, there's partners, there's customers even, well, maybe not customers so much in this case, but certainly other third parties who may need access to sensitive data, critical applications, and obviously an ability to collaborate with those who are employees of the organization. So getting that right and enabling that free flow of information and ideas, that has a big impact on the business. If we pivot over into security, we see a really similar story where, again, those most mature organizations, they are, dramatically much more apt to say, hey, our approach to identity is helping us. And that's true of really big picture strategic concepts like, hey, how do we advance our zero trust strategy and enforce principles of least privilege? And really tactical like SecOps workflows, things like identifying and responding to anomalous behavior. Doesn't really matter what altitude we're flying. Those that are most mature say, hey, our identity approach are setting us up for success.
One thing that jumps out at me is the middle one, the 3.4 times as likely to say it helps with incident response. And that's, in incident response, there's detection, investigation, response. The more quickly you can investigate that alert, and then maybe have automated response actions, you're going to significantly reduce the blast radius, and you're going to nip that potential threat in the bud. And that's a combination of automation and just having a more mature response program.
I would say looking at this slide personally, all of this is very exciting to me. Obviously, I was involved in the creation of this model, and the conversations that we have been having do allude to the fact that, these numbers are going to look like this, but having the data to prove it, to prove that maturing your identity practice does benefit the organization so broadly, is really great. It's fantastic. And it's also, in my opinion, a great driving force for those who believe in these projects, but might not necessarily have sway to up-level the conversation around identity as they talk to their C-level executives. So I know that's something we're going to get into a little bit as well, but that's really exciting to me too.
And I mean, just to put a finer point on it, right? When we look at what is really the ultimate arbiter of like, hey, is this investment worthwhile for the organization? When we talk about return on your investment, we see those most mature, right? They may be spending more than their peers in absolute terms, but they are 6 times as likely to say every dollar they spend on identity is yielding a very positive ROI relative to their peers. So certainly there's a payoff here for the organization where organizations are able to step back and say, all right, let's look at what we're doing from a business enablement standpoint. Let's look at what we're doing from a security posture standpoint in the context of identity. Yeah, this is really worth it to us.
Yeah, it's impactful, and it's probably more impactful than some of the other places you can invest. So it is absolutely money well spent is one of the things that's jumping out here.
So next, let's get into the nitty gritty of the data. So really quickly, from a methodology standpoint, what is this data set we're looking at? Well, it is a global survey of 600 of your peers, folks who are IT and security practitioners with decision-making authority over their identity posture. This is very inclusive from a scope, right? So this is global. You can see North America, Western Europe, Asia Pacific regions were represented in statistically viable sample sizes. It spans SMBs and enterprise organizations, and it is horizontal from a vertical perspective. So all comers from private and public sector industries were represented. So pivoting into discussing how the maturity model that Okta has built was translated into a survey. Basically, what we did was ESG leveraged 19 of the self-reported data points in the survey across 3 macro topics to place respondents and their organization into one of those 4 cohorts, whether it be foundational, scaling, advanced, or strategic. And so we'll discuss each of these topics in a little bit more depth, but you can think of this first element as really the people and process part of the maturity model, this idea of how do we build our strategy, who's involved, how well understood is it, how comprehensive is it, is really the key word. While the second and third bullets here really deal with the technology piece of the equation. So whether it's how broadly deployed are solutions, which different types of functionalities are present in your environment, how automated are those solutions, how easy and seamless is it and open is it to integrate into your environment. Those are kind of the second and third bullets respectively. And basically what we're looking at this as is almost like a pop quiz. So you answer these 19 or so data points and you either earn or don't earn as an organization maturity points. And so the idea is the higher your score, the better your grade, or in this case, the higher your organization's assessed maturity. So ultimately, yes, let's build it out, right? So every organization scored somewhere from 0 to 100 maturity points. We then segmented those organizations into the 4 pillars that you see here. Fundamental organizations earned 60 or fewer maturity points, right? So a failing grade. We then have groups of 10 points moving up the scale, all the way up to those earning more than 80 points. And those are indeed our strategic organizations. And I think there are a couple elements of this way of doing things that are important. So one, we could have asked people, hey, what do you think your maturity level is? And just looked at the data through that lens. But that introduces all sorts of things like confirmation bias or other things that we want to make sure we're kind of controlling for. And so this way, and one of the things I really love about this approach is that respondents don't even know we're doing this analysis. They don't know they're being graded. So we're really getting a level of candor, and we can step back and take an objective look at the data and say, where does this organization fall on this spectrum? The other element I'll say here, just taking a step back and looking at the market, is that we as an industry have a lot of work to do to get more organizations into the strategic cohort. Only 1 out of 5 organizations tick enough boxes to get up to that level today. And in fact, The plurality of organizations, 30%, are still in that first step of fundamentals. So there's a lot of room here to grow and improve as an industry, and I think that is exciting. But it's also a bit, word for caution, right? I hope that organizations are paying attention, and there's a lot of urgency to move up the curve. Todd, I'm curious. What about, whether it's these best practices or the composition of the market today? What about this jumps out?
So one of the things that you mentioned early on was, okay, the first pillar there, strategic organizations develop comprehensive strategy, and that's sort of people, process, technology. I'd say 2 and 3 aren't pure technology. If you want to deploy that technology solution more broadly across your organization, which is the second bullet point there, that involves working with those application owners. And that's one of the things that jumps out at me, working across the organization to drive that adoption. The second thing that comes out to me is, again, in that second point about going more deeply, covering a greater proportion of their environments. And that speaks to you have solutions that you've probably already deployed, identity solutions you've already deployed, but you might just be scratching the surface in terms of the functionality that you've deployed. And you have many different priorities there. There are probably reasons why you haven't deployed more of that functionality, but it's low-hanging fruit. Typically, it doesn't require more budget, and it is going to allow you to be more effective in what you as a practitioner are going to do and what the organization is going to achieve. That's what comes to my mind.
Jumping in here, I think of these almost as a bit of a build. Obviously, there's some overlap in them, but to get yourself all the way to that strategic place on the maturity model, making sure that you have those ecosystem integrations and that automation is really, to me, that final touch to really check mark. Okay, I'm all the way there. Those other two things really feel like helping build the path to get to that point.
Yeah, it's a great point that there's sort of a logical progression here an organization go through before they're really ready to tackle that last step.
And that last step in terms of the automation it sort of empowers that identity security, that identity team to be more effective because they're automating away, you hope, some of that, the drudgery or mundane or repetitious tasks, and they're able to work on more impactful work.
So let's get into some of these concepts that we're evaluating organizations on. Let's go a little bit deeper, right? So the first question is, what does it really mean to have a comprehensive identity strategy? And what we were talking about here with folks and what we asked them is, which of the following best describes your identity strategy? And we asked them to think discretely about 3 different things: a technology adoption roadmap as it relates to identity solutions, defined budget expectations, and cross-functional stakeholder buy-in. And folks could tell us, we're not there, we're just getting started, or all the way up to comprehensive. And what we saw was strategic organizations almost ubiquitously, 91%, raised their hand, said, yes, we have that comprehensive strategy that spans all of those elements. On the flip side, if we go to that less mature organization, that fundamental organization, only 20% of those folks raised their hand, said, yes, we've got that strategy in place. There's a lot more ad hoc decisioning being taking place in those less mature organizations, and obviously that hinders the success rate that those organizations are seeing in a lot of ways. One of the other elements that we saw, and this was independent of the maturity model, just a correlation we observed in the data. One of the questions we asked is, hey, beyond your IT team, your security team, what department heads, if any, are leaning in and actively getting engaged and executing your identity strategy? And the strategic organizations, almost half of them said our CEO is actually actively participating in this discussion. They are leaning in, they're getting engaged, and that was a statistically significant delta between fundamental organizations where it was less than 40%. So there's a big gap there in terms of executive engagement that we're seeing in those strategic organizations.
Yeah, I agree. The CEO involvement is huge for me as well. This indicates to me, at least, that these organizations and the individuals that are filling out these forms or the survey, they've grasped the impact of identity at their organization and have been able to then effectively communicate that up the chain to make sure that they have appropriate buy-in for the changes they're trying to create as well.
If we pivot over to sort of that second pillar where we start talking about what does it mean to have broad and deep identity solution coverage, there's a couple pieces that we can unpack here to make it click. So one of the questions we asked is, hey, what proportion of your business critical applications are accessible via SSO? And again, you can see the percentage of strategic organizations that said most or all of our business critical applications are accessible via SSO, 89%, super majority. And again, only 1 out of 5 fundamental organizations has gotten to that level of broad coverage of SSO. And this speaks to, Todd, your point earlier about, hey, not only do you need to have the technology that can do it, but you need to engage your application owners and ensure that they're on the same page with you. And then the pattern repeats across MFA, right? So again, we're asking, hey, all your business critical apps, what percent are protected by multi-factor authentication? And again, 92% of strategic organizations said most or all. So again, very good coverage across their business critical applications versus just 1 out of 3 fundamental organizations saying, yeah, we've got a broad level of coverage across our key apps.
Yeah, and then this speaks to, we all want MFA deployment. Even those folks in the fundamental category, I have no doubt they want to deploy MFA more broadly. They recognize what a huge improvement in security that it provides. If you have that opportunity, if you're one of those fundamental organizations, you're seeing the benefit here. I give it that extra ounce of energy to try to drive that MFA adoption, because it's going to yield benefits in terms of that improved security posture.
As we start going, I guess, deeper, or either of these could be categorized as broad or deeper, but if we took a look at other solution capabilities in place within environments, we asked about both IGA, Identity Governance and Administration, and PAM, Privileged Access Management. And here again, we see the divide between the haves and the have-nots. So strategic organizations, 77% of those folks told us, yes, we've got an IGA deployed today, versus just almost 1 out of 10 fundamental organizations. And then on the privileged access management side of things, 61%, so a 3/5 majority of strategic organizations have that solution deployed today, versus really just 10% of fundamental organizations. So, vastly different experiences from a solution standpoint across SSO, MFA, IGA, and privileged access management. The next piece we want to make sure folks understand is this idea that ease of integration is an enabler. So what are we looking at here? We asked respondents, hey, think about your primary IAM solution. Did it come with pre-configured connectors that make integrating it with your application portfolio seamless and quick? And we asked this across, we asked people to consider a variety of apps. So it was productivity suites, collaboration software, CRM, CX, and some back office apps like human capital management and finance. And what we saw was strategic organizations at a low watermark, 88% for each of those app types said, yes, our solution had that integrated connector, that pre-configured connector that made deploying it across our apps easy. On the flip side, only 62%, and that's the high water mark of fundamental organizations, said their solution had that capability in place for a given application type. So again, strategic organizations, they're flocking to identity solutions that are more integrable across their environment, across all their apps. There's the last piece of the puzzle that we were talking about here is the idea that automation can free up your identity personnel, your security personnel, your administrators to do higher order tasks. And here, what we're asking about, what we posed to folks was, consider this host of workflows, things like provisioning employee accounts, deprovisioning employee identities, provisioning and deprovisioning third-party identities, reviewing and approving access requests, alert triage and prioritization, a host of workflows. And we're asking, how is that work getting done today in your environment? Is it completely manual? Is it mostly manual? Is it a mix? Is it mostly automated? And what we saw was the majority or more, so a low water mark of 54%, of response at strategic organizations said all of those workflows are either mostly automated or entirely automated. Whereas our fundamental respondents at a high watermark for any of those workflows, 25% said those tasks were entirely or mostly automated, meaning 75% or more were saying these things are a mix of manual tasks, mostly manual tasks, or entirely manual tasks, which obviously does not scale in an environment, especially one as dynamic and changing as your identities, which there's always going to be some level of churn.
And one of the things, there are a couple things come to mind. One is this is also, there's a security benefit here. If you can automate response, you're able to speed that response and reduce potential damages. But also there's a business benefit. It's not automation, the abstract, it's automation so the team can do more work. So that's sort of one of the fundamental benefits of that. And you're seeing the strategic organizations recognize that and try to apply automation as much as possible.
And that reduction of human error is huge there too.
Less fat fingering.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we have to go through today for this talk. I hope it has been helpful. I hope people can walk away from this saying, hey, I should look at what we're doing in this space. What are we doing from an integration standpoint? What are we doing from an automation standpoint? Is there a finer point we can put on our technology roadmap as it relates to identities? I hope folks will walk away thinking, I should go look at a couple of those things. Well, thank you all for listening. I hope it's been helpful.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Okay, and there we are, another presentation in the bag. Great stuff from Okta, as always. And I've put up the poll question here. Let us know what additional information you would like about the Okta solution. A bunch of choices there. This is not a single answer, so you can fill in multiple ways you would like them to contact you if you would like. So make sure to do that. We do not have time for questions for the team at this point. Their presentation was so full of good stuff that we have used up all of that time, but they will be responding to all questions that you asked later on after the event is over. I also want to remind everyone about the handouts. We have a PDF from Okta called A Guide for Your Identity Maturity Journey. So get that now. Those PDFs are all free and ready to go. And it is now time for our next prize drawing. We have another $300 gift card. And the winner of that for this particular presentation is, let's see, Stefan Muntean from Virginia. So congratulations to you, Stefan. We will be in touch about claiming your prize, I promise you. And with that, let's keep this show moving along. We have got Rubrik up next, and presenting for Rubrik is the fantastically named Zoltan Deek, Director of Product Marketing for Security. I just love saying the name Zoltan, so I might say it a few more times. Zoltan, it is a pleasure to have you here today. So, Zoltan, I am going to turn this over to you. You have the virtual mic.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I'm Zoltan Diak, and I focus on our security products and capabilities here at Rubrik. At its heart, ransomware is about encrypting data or locking up systems, and of course, holding those things hostage for a fee to unlock them. But there are different ways that attackers apply that concept to maximize their success and the return on their investment. And it's an investment. More and more, ransomware is a professional big business. These are professionals that go to work every day and innovate on new techniques to become more effective at their craft. They study what works and what doesn't and come up with new ways to be successful. Today, I'm here to talk about some different ways we're seeing attackers innovate with ransomware to successfully compromise organizations. I'm not going to talk about specific ransomware types, but rather how attackers are putting those ransomware types into practice to gain leverage, target systems, and gain more effectiveness. After that, we'll talk about things you can do to maximize your success against these practices. But I'm not going to talk about prevention. I'm sure there are a lot of webinars you can attend that'll talk about the latest technologies and how they leverage machine learning and AI to detect and prevent new and unknown ransomware strains. And those are absolutely critical things to keep your organization safe. But we all know the fact is that while you need to be successful with prevention all the time, bad guys only need to be successful with an attack once. It's almost inevitable that you'll be hit by ransomware at some point. And there are things you can and should be doing to reduce your data exposure, reduce your risk of exfiltration, and enable yourself to recover more quickly and safely. What I'm talking about is cyber resilience, where even if you get hit, your business is still able to stand strong and move forward. So, assuming a breach will happen, I'll talk about some not so well-known sources of intelligence and tooling you should have in your backup systems already that can help you reduce your ransomware risk, minimize the impact if you do get hit, and recover faster and safer. All right? So with that, let's get to it. In the past year or so, we've seen 3 different ransomware approaches in particular really gaining momentum. Double or multiple extortion ransomware, ransomware targeting your hypervisors, and remote encryption ransomware. They're all ransomware, but they all leverage various wrinkles to get the job done. So let's talk about each of them. All right, so first let's talk about double extortion ransomware. The ransomware model itself is pretty well known, right? Where the bad guys find a way into your system, locate critical data or systems, and encrypt it, holding it hostage for a fee. With double extortion, attackers not only encrypt your data for ransom, but they take it a step further by also exfiltrating that data and then threatening to release it publicly, charging another ransom, the double extortion, to withhold it. This is, of course, requires the extra step on their part in being able to steal your data, get it out of your network. But as organizations have gotten better and better at preventing ransomware, this has become a great way for attackers to make money, especially given that there are ever-increasing regulatory requirements for keeping both sensitive and regulated data private. So by threatening to release it, they're putting even more pressure on organizations to pay the attackers the ransom they're demanding. In fact, late in 2023, we even saw a ransomware group report one of its victims to the SEC. So the attacker knew the victim was aware of the breach, but hadn't reported it yet. So by reporting the victim to the SEC, they're trying to put even more pressure on the victim to pay the ransom and face even more pain and regulatory fines. So if double extortion is about layering a second form of extracting a ransom on top of the first by adding data theft to data encryption, let's also talk about how attackers can target their attacks to do major damage. Now, it's no secret organizations are increasingly relying on virtualization. As critical infrastructure and business systems continue to be virtualized, threat actors have responded in kind by deploying ransomware that impacts hypervisor software. According to Rubrik Zero Labs, in 2022, 73% of all ransomware affected virtualization infrastructure. So virtualization, and as such, the use of hypervisors, is a key component of IT infrastructure for businesses of all sizes. So it represents a pretty attractive target for bad actors. These attacks can be particularly nasty as there's typically no ability to install EDR or antivirus at the hypervisor level. And if you're running VMs, you're probably monitoring your infrastructure using tools that run in a VM. So if the VMs running your monitoring stack are encrypted, chances are the first you find out about it is when you get to the office and everything is down. Even worse, if your data protection tooling relies on virtual machines and these are encrypted, it's going to be incredibly hard to recover your business. So while many people think about ransomware as mass encryption of data, it can in fact be very targeted to deliver the most damage and take out defenses and your ability to recover quickly. Attackers are especially good at being able to target systems that are underprotected. So let's talk about another way that they do this. Remote encryption attacks. Not new technology, but it's one that's evolved and really seems to be driven in large part by the increase in remote work over the past several years. Remote ransomware attacks happen when attackers use one compromised device to encrypt data on other devices on the same network. Doesn't sound that unusual, right? What's sneaky about this is that it can avoid triggering all of the targeted devices' security defenses, whether ingress analysis and blocking, payload execution, and encryption on the endpoint they've already compromised. So the newly targeted device just never sees it coming. So once attackers succeed in compromising a device, they can leverage that organization's domain architecture to encrypt data on managed domain joined machines. So all the malicious activity, ingress, payload execution, and encryption occurs on the already compromised machine and bypasses modern security stacks that way. The only indication of compromise is really the transmission of documents to and from other machines. So it's a good example of, yet again, attackers not bothering to break in, they're just logging in. The average number of devices used by employees to access their corporate networks is something like 2.5. So you have your corporate laptop, and maybe sometimes you're logging in using a personal laptop, maybe a tablet, something unmanaged by corporate IT. That means those devices generally don't have, again, any sort of EDR or XDR or other type of security solution. By compromising and running malware on this machine, an attacker can encrypt anything they can reach in the corporate network and still remain undetected. So according to Microsoft's 2023 Digital Defense Report, about 60% of ransomware attacks involve remote encryption. On top of that, about 80% of all compromises come from unmanaged devices. So just imagine your own corporate network where you might have thousands of devices connected. All it takes is one underprotected device to compromise an entire network. So cyber criminals really favor remote ransomware attacks because they're an easy way to scale. This scalability also makes these attacks dangerous to enterprises, right? That's because that single vulnerable endpoint jeopardizes an entire organization's network, even if all the other devices are protected by advanced security protections. So attackers are also not limited to specific ransomware variants. Many well-known families like WannaCry, Ryuk, and Lockbit all support remote encryption capabilities. Traditional endpoint security products often fail to spot and stop remote ransomware attacks because they're focused on detecting malicious files and processes on the protected endpoint. However, because that malicious process runs on the compromised machine in remote ransomware attacks, those security products, again, rendered ineffective in stopping the spread of encrypted network endpoints. So really kind of a clever, insidious way to attack. All right, so you're thinking to yourself, great, thanks for the information, Zoltan. Now, why is Rubrik, a data protection vendor, talking to me about this, other than to restore my backups if I get hit? Well, when it comes to ransomware and just about any other cyber attack for that matter, the target's your data, specifically your high-value sensitive data. And while it's not a source a lot of people think of first, what better place to understand your data so you can better secure it, than your backup snapshots, which contain all your data. If you're using Rubrik as your data protection vendor, you have not only an immutable air-gapped backup as your ultimate insurance against ransomware, but you have the unique advantage of being able to access the intelligence within that data, organized and collated over time. We call it time series data. If you think about being able to view all your data over time, this offers insights that can inform you as to data risk that becomes critical during an attack. All right, so how do we practically apply this? How does this practically help you? First things first, we want to know and get alerted when there's an encryption event, right? It's a pretty good indicator of a ransomware attack. There are vendor solutions out there for things like anomaly detection, where they're going to scan all your files all the time. And as you can imagine, this just doesn't scale. It's going to take a week to scan your entire environment, and by the time it's done, your environment has already changed 1,000 times over. Rubrik scans your backup snapshots. So it happens offline. It's based off changes to what we see over time, not scanning your whole environment every time. You're not impacting production performance, but also in an attack, it's likely many of the tools you're using to detect and alert you to incidents are down. So Rubrik uses a dual machine learning model where it looks for a change rate. If it sees any difference in that change rate, it'll work out what changed. We're also looking at VM level attacks. So this is covering the modern encryption attack I mentioned earlier and the legacy in-guest encryption model. And of course, this can be plugged into your existing automation frameworks such as ServiceNow and SIM tools like Splunk or Microsoft Sentinel. If an attack has occurred, Rubrik automates the assessment of the blast radius to quickly understand what applications and files were impacted and when. So this eliminates the intensive manual labor required. So for example, bringing up a virtual machine copy, manual comparing and scrubbing for changes. Bottom line, in the event of an attack, you can quickly identify which applications, virtual machines, and files were impacted and where they're located. You minimize the time spent discovering what happened and the data loss with granular visibility into the latest unaffected files. Next, your highest value targets are your most sensitive and regulated data. You should absolutely be using your backup data for sensitive data discovery and classification. If you don't know what's in your environment, you cannot protect it. And on top of that, if data has been stolen, you're going to need to understand the blast radius. A lot of people might say they already have DLP, and that's going to stop data theft. And DLP is great for stopping an employee from stealing a spreadsheet, for example. But in a ransomware attack, it's a bit useless because the attacker already has an encrypted backdoor into your environment to steal things. So they're walking that data out. They're not sneaking it. Maybe you've already invested in some sort of data classification tools, and that's great. Why use your backup snapshots to do this instead? Usually, because of the cost and licensing, you're probably only focused on the top 20 to 40% of the sensitive data in your landscape. Using your backup data is the closest you're going to get to 100% visibility across your environment because it's scanning everything you're backing up. And by the way, because you're scanning your backup snapshots, you're not deploying and managing agents in a production environment. You're not sacrificing network performance and using valuable people resources. You're taking advantage of the intelligence that already exists offline in your backup snapshots. Sensitive data monitoring allows you to proactively mitigate your risk of data theft in the first place. Not just your on-prem data, but your unstructured data, your data in the cloud, your O365. With the right tooling in your enterprise backup, you can identify your critical data assets and their specific risks and remediate those risks before malicious actors can exploit them. And what's one way to mitigate that risk? Well, knowing where sensitive data is only half the battle. It's just as important to know who has access to that data and how risky that access is. Let's take an example. With Rubrik's user access capabilities, you can scan your backup snapshots and identify credit card data and say that data is high risk. Here are the specific users who have access to it and how that access has changed over time. So maybe yesterday they had access to this number of files, and today they have access to 10% more. And the risk level of those files they just gained access to is higher, lower, or right in the middle of where it was before. Again, this is all this analysis is run in your backup environment with no impact to production. What user access lets you know is who has access to sensitive data and a historical view of changes over time. If you think about it, every user who has access to sensitive data represents a risk. With the visibility I've described, you can proactively enact least privilege access to greatly reduce that risk. Again, this is intelligence and tooling you should have through your data protection vendor like Rubrik, not another siloed single functioning security tool. All right, so even after you've reduced your risk by identifying and safeguarding your sensitive data, we also want to always monitor for attacks on that data. Your network is a constantly shifting organism with new devices and assets coming online that may not always be fully protected. Threats get through, right? So by automatically scanning your backup data for threats, you have a last line of defense. Teams can perform in-depth threat analysis offline without requiring agents to be deployed. Once again, you'll notice the theme on critical infrastructure. So this better protects organizations against these lurking data threats. So Rubrik threat monitoring, for example, combines intelligence from third-party threat feeds with proprietary intelligence from Rubrik Zero Labs, which is our data threat intelligence unit, and Rubrik's own InfoSec team to automatically identify indicators of compromise within backup snapshots. Threat monitoring then proactively scans for threats out of band from production infrastructure based on that vetted threat intel, which accelerates investigation and reduces the risk of reinfection. The things I've just described are proactive measures you can take to reduce your overall risk level when it comes to ransomware and ultimately control your blast radius. Control the potential impact if and when you get hit. But what about when you're actually in it, when you realize you have been hit? In a ransomware event, you're going to need to understand as quickly as possible what your nearest clean recovery point is. It's critical to get this right to minimize the amount of data lost without reintroducing the attack into your environment. That same intelligence does a lot for you when you're trying to identify a clean recovery point to come back to. And Rubrik, to that end, offers built-in threat hunting. What that means is we can sweep for IOCs, specific IOCs, the malware, the remote access tools in your offline data. You can use Yara rules, files, hashes. With your team having to recover a single server, we can tell you a clean recovery point per server in your environment. Because you're scanning backups, we can show you not just where malware might live, but when it was presented into your environment. With traditional malware scanning, you're only scanning what's in production. But with Rubrik, because you have that time series data at your fingertips, that historical ledger of backups, you can find not only where it is, but exactly how long it's been there and when it was introduced. So you can decide exactly when you want to recover to safely. And that capability is available regardless of the state of your production infrastructure. So once again, right, in an attack, everything in your production systems may be down. You may be waiting for the go-ahead to recover, but it's that chicken and egg where you need recovery to happen in order to use the tools for security to give you the go-ahead. So by leveraging tools and backups, you can make all of those decisions, get the insight you need, get all the information you need offline. You don't need to get online to get that intelligence. Think about the value there in a situation where you've been hit by ransomware, right? You're trying to figure out what is under the control of the attacker versus what was encrypted. We're immediately going to clear that up and tell you these are the specific servers the attackers have persistence and control over. The other 99% of your environment, they're just victims, right? So it's not just speeding up your time to recovery point selection, it's also helping you reduce your data loss, because those compromised servers probably need to be recovered back, say, at least a week ago to where you need to just accept the data loss there, right? The other 99% just victims, right? So you can just recover back to yesterday because they don't have anything malicious in them. If you aren't using your backups to do this, you're just accepting greater data loss because you need to treat everything as malicious. Remember, the actual recovery time of your business isn't the time it takes to recover your data. It's the time it takes to scan the data, find the recovery point, then recover it. Using a threat hunting tool native to your backup is a huge game changer. All right, so what I've spoken about here today are some examples, just examples of how you can protect yourself against ransomware, regardless of the new or targeted techniques attackers are using. Detection and prevention capabilities are always going to be hugely important. We always want to discover and stop everything we possibly can. At the same time, we know attacks are going to get through, and it's critical to put ourselves in the best possible position to control the damage and recover quickly. The goal at the end of the day isn't to stop every attack. It's to make sure that those attacks don't significantly impact your business. By leveraging the intelligence and tooling you should already have in modern backup and recovery tools, you can proactively reduce your risk, reduce your exposure, and give yourself the ability to recover more quickly and safely so your business is resilient against the attacks that do hit you. So I hope I've shed some light on the powerful capabilities you can and should be leveraging in your data protection platform today. That's going to really help you accomplish those things. And I had time to just scratch the surface though, right? So Rubrik's a market leader in data protection, and it's the core of everything we do. But we've also seen how layering in these cyber posture and cyber recovery capabilities into the data protection platform gives our customers critical capabilities that enable them to achieve cyber resilience. So you can learn more about what we can do for you at Rubrik.com. And finally, just to wrap up, if you're interested in more about what's happening in today's data security landscape, I encourage you to check out the latest report from Rubrik Zero Labs. It's a quick read, a ton of insights into current data realities and real recommendations to secure that data for the future. All right. I hope this has been informative. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Zoltan. It was great stuff. So informative. Rubrik is always innovating in a way that impresses me. So thank you very much for that overview. And I've put up the latest poll question. Please let Rubrik know what additional information you would like about their solutions. Now, we do not have time for Q&A. He filled up the entire time with that brilliant presentation, but the Rubrik team will be following up with all of the questions that you asked, and you asked a bunch. Now, while you fill out that poll, I also want to remind you about the handouts. We've got a link from Rubrik to a demo on Rubrik cyber resilience. Be sure to check that out. Download it now to get more details. And with that, folks, while you finish up your voting in that poll, we are going to have our next prize drawing. We have another $300 Amazon card. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're giving those away after every presentation. And the winner of the latest Amazon gift card is Chase Arir from Texas. Congratulations to you, Chase. And now we are going to move on to our next presentation here. Let's keep this fun rolling. This one comes from HPE, our good friends over at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And presenting for HPE is Matt McDougall, North America Solutions Business Manager for Block Storage. And at the end of the presentation, we are going to be joined by John Vitello, also known as JV. He is the North America Solutions Business Manager for Block Storage. That sounds like a familiar title. I guess they are both doing that. So JV is going to be joining us for some great Q&A after that. So Matt, we are ready for your presentation. Sir, take it away.
Good day, everyone. My name is Matt McDougall. I am a Solutions Business Manager in North America for Block Storage here at HPE. Myself, along with our partners at Kioxia, would like to thank you for taking the time to join our webinar today. In the invitation for today's webinar, we included a link to a recent white paper we published, where we highlight 5 ways you can optimize your AI strategies around data cleansing, preparation, and management. While I won't be reading the white paper to you on today's call, you will see me touch on each of these bullet points throughout my presentation as they relate to HPE's flagship storage solution, ElectroStorage MP. In 2023, it is estimated that we generated 3.5 exabytes of data every single day. So that means 12 petabytes of data would have been generated since we started our conversation. According to research commissioned by HPE and conducted by ESG, 76% of organizations' ability to store, protect, mobilize, analyze, access, secure, and govern data can't keep pace with what their stakeholders demand. Enterprises across the world have come to the realization that as their data grows and becomes more distributed in nature, it's neither scalable nor economical to rely solely on the public cloud. And the emergence of generative AI has made this reality even more clear. Given the complexities I just touched on, it's clear that the role of storage has fundamentally changed. It's no longer just a repository of data, but a dynamic enabler of business value. Our perspective is rooted in the need for AI-powered, secure, and modular storage architectures. This shift transforms storage from a static repository to a dynamic creator of value, ensuring that businesses can meet their performance goals and sustainability targets. This involves a paradigm shift of storage as the place where data lives to storage as the place where data comes alive. It's a move from storage as a repository of value to storage as a creator of value for the business. Storage's role in value creation is how modern enterprises can capitalize on data and AI as the dynamic life force of their business instead of a static sunk cost. The digital transformation has become an imperative for every enterprise. And successful digital transformation requires data-first modernization. Now, this demands a shift to a data-centric mindset, where we start to understand that data is the key driver of value creation and business success. So, to accelerate data-first modernization, enterprises need to eliminate the management complexity, the storage silos, the scale-out limitations that continue to slow them down. This becomes ever more clear when we think about all of the headaches and complex operational experiences that IT teams must deal with every single day. From complex management, current on-prem storage offerings are difficult to manage and require specialized domain expertise. This impacts agility and impedes the pace of innovation, with IT teams tied up in those routine tasks as opposed to higher value strategic initiatives. Inefficiencies in scaling. Legacy storage architectures are unable to flexibly and cost-effectively scale out to keep pace with the growing and unpredictable demands of today's workloads. Finally, budget constraints are forcing mid-sized customers and IT departments to settle for mid-range storage that compromises performance, availability, and scalability for price. So to truly modernize today, our customers need more than a faster, more powerful box. Now more than ever, they need the ability to unleash the power of their data. They need to break away from legacy infrastructure and elevate their storage experience with a platform that unlocks agility by delivering the cloud experience everywhere, maximizes infrastructure efficiencies at scale, ensures apps are always on and always fast, and eliminates those price performance compromises. To bring data alive, our storage strategy is very simple. We enable enterprises to drive growth by optimizing resources to reduce cost, simplifying operations to increase productivity, and accelerating innovation through speed and agility. This is all predefined, validated, future-proofed, and consumable in one experience through HP GreenLake that enables organizations to stop wrestling with complexity and start supporting the strategic goals of the business to drive growth and enable new opportunities. When looking at our architecture, everything we've done over the past few years is aligned to these three strategic imperatives. First, optimizing the foundation with the unique disaggregated storage architecture based on HPE Storage MP. This enables organizations to harness the full power and utilization of their storage footprint and helps to create a flexible, open, and portable data platform. As discussed, data is exploding, and this will be only compounded more and more with the rise of AI. In the future, as sustainability and cost pressures build, efficiency and optimal utilization become paramount. Second, simplifying operations. As environments become more and more decentralized and hybrid due to edge inferencing, the unification of management and security constructs is pivotal. Foundationally, HPE GreenLake was designed to integrate operations across all workloads everywhere, making it easier and less expensive to manage. With HPE, you have the native ability to manage your block, file, object, and data services across a single control plane, with a unified security and identity posture to protect from all threats. And finally, acceleration. We're all chasing change. As I discussed earlier, pressure from the business to operationalize big data and AI initiatives is building. Yet there are still challenges from a cost, expertise, and operational perspective hindering the ability to move fast. When you look at this problem from a business lens, the benefits of optimization and simplification compound to help drive acceleration. Not only from a tech standpoint, given the speed in which you can deploy and protect data and applications, but from an investment standpoint as well. As cost savings are realized and effort is reduced, that investment in dollars and in time can be redirected at higher ROI activities like AI that can accelerate business outcomes. Now let's talk about some of the basics behind Storage MP. It is a new modular, disaggregated, multi-protocol storage architecture that will be the common simplified platform for all HPE storage and data services moving forward. It consists of standardized composable building blocks, compute nodes, capacity or JBOFs, and switches that can support and or be repurposed for different software-defined storage personas and use cases, including block and file. This enables our customers to be able to deploy GreenLake for block storage or GreenLake for file storage on a common hardware platform through the HP GreenLake Cloud Platform. Now, it's worth emphasizing that this represents something very unique in the storage industry. No longer do you have to buy a different box or a different kind of system for each workload, SLA, or storage protocol that you're running. When designing the standardized Storage MP platform, we wanted to ensure it would be suitable for multiple kinds of applications now and in the future. So that means running block, file, and in the future, object workloads at any scale using the exact same set of building blocks. Now that's a very powerful message, particularly in the context of simplifying data management. So as I touched on earlier, to fast forward data-driven modernization, We're seeing organizations having the need to eliminate those management complexities that continue to slow them down. And that's precisely what makes ElectroStorage MP so compelling. It represents the first foundational step we've taken on a multi-year journey to consolidate and simplify our HP block storage portfolio to a common software and hardware stack for block storage. Unique among block storage offerings, ElectroStorage MP is the industry's first modular, all-active, multi-node solution that is disaggregated. So we can scale your compute and storage resources independently, starting small and scaling big with guaranteed 100% data availability. So more efficient scaling is built in, which is helping our customers avoid buying capacity or performance that they don't currently need at that given time. ElectroStorage MP is also simplifying storage management and reducing risk with an AI-driven cloud experience through the HP GreenLake Cloud platform. Through AI Ops, we're proactively identifying and fixing 86% of problems, which help our customers save on their operating costs. Also, features like standardizing on common hardware drives can start to take the burden off of IT management and makes it easier to maintain. Now, I want to make a quick note on our 100% data availability guarantee, which is a key value point of ElectroStorage MP. When we think about today's legacy tech refreshes, they require things like forklift upgrades, painful data migrations, disruptive downtime, and rebuying of capacity. To enhance ownership options, we've recently announced HPE Timeless. Our Timeless program is a storage ownership program that enhances investment protection for our customers purchasing HP ElectroStorage MP. It delivers an always modern, simplified, and worry-free ownership experience with an easily upgradable storage architecture, non-disruptive controller upgrades, all-inclusive software, and storage guarantees for 100% data availability, data reduction, and customer satisfaction. A key benefit of the program is that you can protect your investment and keep your storage continuously up to date with a non-disruptive controller refresh, negating the need for forklift upgrades, complex data migration, or costly media rebuys. This can reduce your TCO and save on average 30% over traditional upgrades. And this can be significantly more depending on your environment and the amount of capacity you have. Now, I urge you to dig a little deeper when you have time available and download some of the assets you see here on the screen. The one on the left is a detailed brochure of our Timeless program containing the benefits and eligibility requirements. And on the right, we have another brochure detailing our top 12 reasons why you should choose HP's ElectroStorage MP. The HP GreenLake for block storage cloud operational experience and mission-critical availability and performance is powered by the data-driven insights and intelligence of the industry's most advanced AI for infrastructure. Now you might be asking, why is that important? Because now your organization can say goodbye to the endless firefighting thanks to AI-powered autonomous operations that can ensure apps are always on and always fast. With the industry's most advanced AI for infrastructure, customers can predict and prevent disruptions before they occur across the stack and pinpoint issues between storage and VMs and underutilized virtual resources. Moreover, your admins can rely on AI-driven recommendations to take the guesswork out of managing data infrastructure while eliminating time-consuming, frustrating escalations via predictive support automation and direct access to experts. No other on-prem storage as a service vendor can match the breadth of telemetry, full stack visibility up to the application layer, and prescriptive, actionable recommendations of HPE's advanced AI for infrastructure. So to quickly summarize our conversation, through our Data Services Cloud Console, or DSCC, and our Data Ops Manager, you can establish smart data governance policies with role-based access controls. Additionally, Data Ops Manager delivers global unified management, enabling customers to manage data infrastructure from the edge to cloud across a single web interface. Our ElectroStorage MP solution delivers a flexible, open, and portable data platform with disaggregated scalability. And finally, our industry-leading AI Ops helps to accelerate innovation through AI-driven recommendations and takes the guesswork out of managing your IT and helps eliminate time-consuming tasks. Now that I've covered 5 ways HP ElectroStorage MP can help you optimize your AI strategies, I now want to touch on how we partner with one of our suppliers, Kioxia. If you're like most, many of you are likely asking, who is Kioxia and how do I say it? Let's start with how to pronounce it. It is pronounced Kioxia, and Kioxia was born out of Toshiba in 2019. From that Toshiba heritage, they carried the torch as the innovators of flash memory in 1987 and bring their flash, storage, and software expertise with them. The Kioxia timeline is a distinguished one. Going back to 1987, when one of their small teams invented the NAND flash memory that has evolved into an everyday item that many enterprises could not survive without. Looking at this timeline, you can see how they have invested and developed everything from SLC PATA drives to the current PCIe 5.0 ED small form factor SSDs that brings you the industry's highest performance available currently. And in this year, 2024, Kioxia received the Lifetime Achievement Award from FMS, or Flash Memory Summit, for the invention of 3D NAND flash. Now, we can't exit this slide without talking a little bit about a special partnership Kioxia has with the HPE Spaceborne team. Together, through a 2+ year relationship, they've teamed to deliver over 120 terabytes worth of storage to space-enabling critical analysis and research that will lead us into the future. Kioxia's CM7 series Enterprise NVMe SSDs are what you will find within the ElectroStorage MP solution today, as well as most of HP's storage lines of business. It is an enterprise-class PCIe 5.0 NVMe drive offered in both a 2.5-inch and EDSFF, or E3.S, form factor. They can deliver random read speeds of up to 2500 K IOPS and write speeds of up to 550 K IOPS. Add in the reliability that Kioxia prides itself on, and you really do have a strong recipe for success when paired with the ElectroStorage MP solution. Kioxia brings a lot of heritage, reliability, and performance to HP's ElectroStorage solutions. In the paper mentioned here on the screen, they discuss how their previous gen CM6 drives were able to accelerate VMware storage and storage arrays with the use of dedupe and compression. Kioxia wants to thank you for your time today and hopes you're able to realize how they and ElectroStorage MP can meet and exceed your storage needs. Please take some time to visit the dedicated microsite at the bottom of this slide to find more assets and collateral, as well as info on Kioxia drive offerings at HPE. I would also like to thank you for taking the time today to learn about HPE's ElectroStorage MP solution and how it can fit in and bring value to your AI strategy. A couple of next steps. I urge you to watch some of the demos we have out there around our GreenLake for block storage and GreenLake for file storage solutions. And finally, try a free HPE Cloud Physics assessment, which can analyze your data center environment and suggest various optimization opportunities. Now with that, once again, I want to thank you for your time and wish you a great rest of your day.
So what are the next steps HPE can help you with? That's where we actually are right now. So please let us know, and we're going to bring JV in right now. I hope he is ready to go. JV, are you there?
I am here, sir. How are you?
Okay, I am so sorry about that interruption of the stream here. But the good thing is we have got you on for some good Q&A. I don't know if there's anything at this point that you wanted to mention that didn't get covered in the presentation. So I don't know if that's the case or not. We got cut off a little bit early on that, though.
Understood. I can tell you, for starters, you're going to have that brochure for the top 12 reasons to choose HPE GreenLake for block storage. And, it's a great read. It's quick. It's easy. And, we can talk about how HPE ElectroStorage MP differentiates from the competition. I mean, it's a unique block storage architecture, and it's most suited for mission critical apps, especially with 100% data availability. We're able to power cloud operations with data-driven intelligence and insights while using self-service agility to handle cloud operations. So it's a breadth and depth of cloud services, more than just on-prem security, but we're managing cost and regulatory control with a cloud-like experience built into one system. So, when you think about what we do for a cloud infrastructure or for a cloud environment that a customer has to take care of, we top that off with something we call the Timeless program. And that program, it's more than just words. It's a new storage ownership program that allows us to enhance your investment protection. And when you purchase HPE ElectroStorage, the Timeless simplifies and future-proofs your customer's storage experience with ever-modern, agile storage that gets better over time. As the workloads grow, we can easily and cost-effectively modernize the storage as needed without the need for disruptive forklift upgrades, complex data migration, or costly media rebuys. So it's pretty neat. And on top of that, we add a stack called AI Ops. And that's very powerful because, a storage administrator and support still account for most of today's storage costs. And by streamlining and automating those IT operations with advanced AI ops and features, it helps with the capabilities, which makes it, an essential requirement to improve productivity and efficiency. The key value of our platform native AI capabilities is to drive autonomous self-driving storage, spanning fleet management and intelligent lifecycle operations. So as we're getting into these new AI worlds, we've got a great storage solution that actually gives you AI-driven analytics and recommendations. And on top of that, we're leveraging Kioxia drives. And, we use their SSDs in Electra MP Block as well as Electra 9000, GreenLake for file solutions, and we have capacities of 1.92 terabytes, 384, 7.68, 15, and 30 terabyte options. So when you think about the flexibility and how we're bringing the cloud to you, but you're still getting your data sovereignty, you're still owning or managing the equipment so you are not at risk. You'll hear over and over people saying, how do we protect ourselves? What are we doing as a company? Maybe we went to the cloud, maybe we're repatriating, and maybe we're bringing something back. But the most important takeaway here is without these AI-driven features, you're just going to have monolithic storage, and those days are over. We don't want to spend our days maintaining the storage. You shouldn't think about it. You should point it at once and just be able to use it and use that AI-driven technology to bring up, a subset of anomalies that maybe you do need to pay attention to, but you don't have to watch every second of the day like we used to years ago. Well, that's about it. Do you have any other questions for me?
I sure do. First of all, I want to say thank you for that fantastic additional overview here. It's almost like you've done this before, JV.
I can dance well. I'm that monkey with the cymbals at times.
and what you're saying is just so true. I mean, everybody is kind of hyped up over AI. It is the buzzword this year and for 2025, which is, the focus of this particular event. But it seems that a lot of folks are trying to figure out how best to use it. AI can do a lot of good and it can do a lot of bad if you're not careful. And it can do a lot of useless stuff that's going to cost you money too, if you're not careful. So what you are talking about is using it in a way that is going to boost your overall efficiency and security and all of those things. So it seems like you're using AI in a very specific way here to answer a very specific challenge that that users have. Would that be accurate to say?
Yes, we have to take a pragmatic approach, right? Where everybody talks about crawl, walk, run, right? Everybody starts off slow, figures out where they need to be. Uh, in this new world, being pragmatic is really, really necessary. And the reason why is because if you just throw your data into the AI arena, as older folks like myself, I say I'm older because I've been around for a couple of years, will say junk in, junk out. You get what you put into AI, right? And the more money you spend, you get more expensive junk if you're not careful. We are not utilizing AI in our storage in a manner that does anything but help you manage it more efficiently, secure it tighter, and give you the performance you need. And of course, we have AI offerings within HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, to expedite your AI journey. But in the storage world, because we're a leader, because we went all flash, almost a decade ago now, we've been looking forward, looking future. We're a leader in the Magic Quadrant. When you look at where HPE is going every day with AI, no one in HPE is saying, fear of missing out, spend $1 million and you can have AI. The reality is start with the basics, what you can control. Go after that super secure storage system that can hold up to petabytes of data. And we're talking in a block environment, right? We have unstructured data solutions as well. We're talking about the ability to autonomously control the mediation, the repair, all the things that go into your most expensive asset, your data. And I'm saying, and this is me speaking, I'm not speaking on behalf of HPE, I'm saying that, when did we forget about SLAs? When did we all say it's great to jump in the cloud, but you don't need 2, 3, 4 copies of data? Like people are getting more and more dependent on things, but in the AI arena, you are starting to see data sovereignty as probably top of mind to most customers, because once you put it in the cloud, you need a copy somewhere. But if you're going to bring that out of the cloud, do it cloud native. Use a product from HPE, and that way you're not, taking care of your data and then looking at your data, reanalyzing it, rehash it just to pass it somewhere else in your organization. Use the right platform or multiple platforms as needed, because HPE with GreenLake, you just pick a service, right? You can pick block, object, file, and now you've got all that security managed anywhere in the world by maybe one person, maybe 50. How big is your company? But you're not tied to your desk to keep your operational footprint going. So it's a new world with AI, but we're looking at it internally, eating our own dog food, as we'd say, as well as helping our customers in their journey. Because we're first, we're going to help everybody.
Yeah, see, that's just perfect. And the last thing I want to mention, then we'll do some more questions here, is that you mentioned all flash storage. With the advent of AI coming so fast and furious, that flash storage is so valuable to have. You almost can't do it with mechanical storage anymore. It's got to be flash to handle the demands that AI throws at it, in my opinion. So flash storage has been around a long time. AI, with its huge breakthrough in the last couple of years, means that the flash that's here is now perfectly positioned to take advantage of the AI wave that is now kind of crashing over the shore. So you're well positioned in that regard. Okay, question for you here. We've got some great ones coming in, JV. How does HPE Alletra Storage MP differentiate from the competition?
So, where it's a unique block storage architecture, and it is most suitable for mission critical apps. Once people started going into the all flash, and again, we led that. We started many, many years before others. One of the key takeaways was it not only has to be able to use the data right when it's created, but you need to be able to restore that data just as quick. And if you don't have that resiliency built into the storage subsystem, sure, you can offload it with a software product to try to protect it. But the reality is, unless you're coupling that with something like Zerto that HPE has to have two simultaneously, almost near instant versions of the same application in two spots at the same time, unless you're doing something like that, the flash means nothing because you have to watch that data integrity and you have to be able to restore from those critical environments.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, we have another question about differentiation. So this tells me that there's a lot of people really interested in what you're talking about. So here they want to know what differentiates the new HPE Timeless program.
Yeah, so our Timeless program not only gives you peace of mind because it future-proofs your investment, it also can allow you to upgrade your investment. No more forklift upgrades. By having a real nice robust subsystem between your compute and your storage in a storage subsystem. I'm not talking where you connect your hosts. I'm talking behind where the hosts are. We're talking the ability to keep that system always running. And in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, if you want to upgrade your controller, great. With Timeless, we can do that. But also with peace of mind, you don't have to repatriate your data or move it around. You can just add more storage to our Electra MP system, and it'll just take that storage and start using it.
Okay, great. Now, in the intro in our keynote today, I actually talked a little bit about the value of AI ops. So we have a question related to that too. So they want to know, what is the value of AI ops offered with the HPE Electra MP solution?
Well, that's the key value of our new platform. And I'll tell you that when you're looking at anything with storage, it not only has to be AI ready, but it has to be self-driving storage. It has to be able to be managed in a fleet manner because people want that cloud-like ease. The way, it's a sad way to say it, but you throw a credit card out there and there's your storage. Well, with AI ops, you get all that cloud connectivity that you're used to, except the cloud is yours. Either you own it or you can consume it by the terabyte. You can do whatever you want with your normal, go to market purchase models. But on top of that, with AI ops, we're going to watch that storage for you. And we're going to give you a little nudge when we feel that you need to pay attention to something. That way you can go on and make more money for your company while we're watching it for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I think we have time for one more question here today. Between the previous presentation that we cut out on and your overview and your Q&A, this has just been fantastic stuff. I can see from the audience, and I want everyone to keep voting in the poll, that there's so much interest being driven to these solutions. Someone wants to follow up, JV, with HPE right after the event today. What do you recommend they do next?
I recommend that they go to some of the links here in the documentation you can download, or you can contact your local HPE partner, reseller. We've got some of the best in the world, and those guys, they get trained up daily, and they really, really can help you and get you to market faster. So that would be my advice.
Okay, great. HPE, as everyone knows, is kind of the definition of a trusted partner in IT. So, JV, I want to thank you for coming on and for showing us the continuous ways that HPE is innovating, and also for saving our bacon when things went totally sideways here. It was just great to have you on. I really enjoyed it.
My pleasure, and it's been great being here. I'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you, JV. All right, everyone. Well, that was kind of rough there for a couple minutes, but it ended up pretty good. And before we move to our final presentation, I need to give away a couple more prizes. Now, the winner of the $300 Amazon gift card is Paula Schnittger from Virginia. Paula Schnittger from Virginia. Definitely don't want to mispronounce that name. And the winner of the grand prize, that MacBook Air, the 13-inch that is so awesome, is Zena Bougri from Utah. So Zena and Paula, you are the big winners right now. Congratulations to you both. And with that, folks, we are ready to move on to our last, but certainly not least, presentation in today's MegaCast. This has been a truly awesome event, and I cannot wait to get to this last presentation here and see what Mark has to talk to us about. This is Mark Stugard, a solutions architect with NetApp. And Mark, I think, is here right now, and he is ready to go. Mark, can you hear me? And are you ready, as I said?
I certainly can. Thanks for the introduction. I hope you can hear me okay.
Absolutely. I can hear you just fine. So I am going to hand over the virtual mic to you, sir. Take it away.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining us this morning, this afternoon, wherever you're located, this evening perhaps. I wanted to do a quick introduction and spend a few minutes talking about IT operations and a solution that NetApp has on offer to help customers around observability. So let me go ahead and advance the slide here. Hopefully that's advancing okay. So yeah, we'd like to talk a little bit about enhancing IT operations. I know that is top of mind for a lot of our customers, a lot of organizations there, and talk a little bit more specifically about block storage and storage area networks, right? So SAN-based storage and observability, and how observability plugs into SAN networks. Again, my name is Mark Stugard. I'm a solutions architect here at NetApp. I joined the company right before COVID, so it's been an interesting journey, right, from early 2020. But my core focus here is our data infrastructure insights platform. So all things analytics, observability, reporting. We also do a little bit of ransomware protection for ONTAP for NetApp specific storage. So good to be here. Appreciate everyone taking some time out of their busy schedules to learn a little bit more about our solutions and DII. So as I mentioned, we want to take about 20 minutes to go through the bullet points here. We'll save about 5 minutes at the end for Q&A, give or take. So we'll go through what the solution actually is, Data Infrastructure Insights, the application formerly known as Cloud Insights. We had a recent rebranding and name change, as NetApp is known to do within the past few weeks. So just wanted to call that out. And then we can dig in a little bit on the next bullet point around the block storage and SAN workloads like we've been talking about. And then moving on from there, look at the specific features and platform capabilities of DII that it brings to a block specific storage environment and those associated workloads. We've also got some great resources towards the end of the slide deck where we have a link to a blog post with a video recording of our new SAN Analyzer feature. So that'll be a link that you're able to view here at the end of the presentation, a bit of a follow-up or leave behind that can be really beneficial for teams, as well as some other links, right? I know we've got a link to a GigaOM report, as well as links to a free trial where customers, partners, end users can test the platform up to 60 days. There's no charge to do that, to see what a SAN environment looks like, or your SAN environment in particular looks like in our observability platform, again, Data Infrastructure Insights. And then we'll wrap up with some Q&A. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. And you're always welcome to put any questions into the chat box. I know that's enabled We have Anya and Casey from NetApp helping out today. So thanks to both of them for taking a look at the chat and fielding any of the questions there. We'll take that towards the end of the presentation. Okay, so moving right along. What is Data Infrastructure Insights, right? Again, we know it's an observability platform, but more importantly, and perhaps most importantly, is that this is a SaaS-based solution that works with multi-vendor hybrid cloud resources. So all things data center, right? Compute, storage, switch, multi-vendor, and also having compatibility with cloud native solutions like Kubernetes. You'll see the three hyperscalers there on the slide as well, right? So AWS, Azure, and GCP are also compatible with the platform. So regardless of the vendor that you're using, most of our customers are running multi-vendor solutions within their data centers. So we provide visibility, and DII provides that heterogeneous global end-to-end visibility. And that's really one of the competitive differentiators for the platform, right? Is that because we have visibility to compute, storage, switch, we're able to look at performance metrics. We're able to look at logs. We're able to help customers with IT ops, right? Not just for SAN workloads, but also for any of the other performance metrics that you're used to, or maybe your teams are used to monitoring, right? Latency, IOPS, throughput. We plug into VMware is a very common integration for us, right? And because we have that visibility from end to end, the observability features and the alerting and monitoring capability can be really, really powerful for customers to help, again, drive operational excellence and help their teams identify root cause and so forth. And we'll dig into that here in a minute or so. On the right half of the slide, before we move along, I suppose, there's a quick blurb here from a recent GigaOM report. Again, we'll have the link posted to that here at the end of the presentation under the resources tab. And you can give that a read. The report is really geared around showing the data infrastructure insights and how it provides operational excellence for SAN workloads. So it's worth a quick read when you have time. Okay, so when we're talking about IT operations, what advantages does DII bring to the table, right? And these are the three sort of main buckets, I suppose you could call, or areas where DII provides advantages for customers, right? We talked about operations and making sure that we have alerting, monitoring. We're able to determine root cause using AI and ML, and being able to provide correlation statistics, again, between compute, storage, switch, right? To identify where the problem resides so that your ops teams spend their time and their cycles fixing the problem as opposed to trying to figure out where the problem resides, right? Or where the root cause is coming from. So that's the operationalize bucket, I suppose. With optimization, this is where we can help by driving down cost, right? And optimizing, again, compute and storage, where resources may be over-provisioned or underutilized or both, and highlighting that and helping customers achieve an optimal deployment in their environment. And again, this holds true for compute as well as storage and any of the other resources that we monitor. So recent examples include helping customers, I should say, optimize their VM footprint ahead of upcoming renewals, right? And really with a focus on having the renewal cost with VMware be optimal, right? Where you're not having to go through and pay for resources that are underutilized, right? So really kind of streamlining that whole effort. And on the storage side, we do that regularly as well. So identifying storage that's underutilized or not being used, and then being able to provision that. Finally, In terms of strategy, we help customers in a lot of different ways. A couple of those are highlighted here. Capacity planning is one of our standard go-to use cases where we help customers identify not only the storage that they're consuming today, but what they may need in the future based on historical trends and utilization. So that's another really great use case for us. Okay, now let's take a little look and see how DII helps in a SAN type environment, right? And we all know that SAN is mission critical, right? Fiber channel provides that high performance for critical workloads, right? And critical applications to modern businesses, right? And a couple of the challenges that customers tell us, right, in terms of feedback around ops is that for the most part, you set up SAN, you set up your fiber channel environment, and it just runs, it works, right? And it provides performance that you need for these critical apps, right? But that skill set can be limited in terms of the number of SMEs that you may have, either in the organization or teams that are in the process of retiring, perhaps, right? So there can be some challenges operationally with maintaining a SAN, and then a tech refresh, right? So refreshing a SAN environment can be pretty challenging, right? In terms of how the storage is provisioned, everything looks like a device, right? We've got a lot of switches and ports and connectivity that needs to be identified and mapped, right? And in cases where you're having to refresh that can be quite a lift, right? For a refresh type scenario. So those are some of the challenges that we're hearing from customers around SAN. And so over the next few slides here, we want to take a look and see how data infrastructure insights helps customers with those challenges, right? Ultimately, we want to be a solution and leverage DII to solve business challenges, right? Using the platform. And that's where we provide the most value, right? For our customers. So here's a quick quote from a global service provider, right? They're using SAN for mission critical workloads. They identify or automate common tasks. And part of that workflow is using DII, right? And that's another great way to use DII. It can integrate, via RESTful APIs, right? So it can really become part of the IT ops workflow. So if you need to integrate with ServiceNow or Slack or Teams or any of these other third-party platforms that are very, very common for alerting and monitoring, for example, or for metadata tagging, we can do that. And that's a super popular request. So digging in a little bit here to the block capabilities, right? I know we've touched on this at a high level, but we wanted to go through three key features that are in the DII platform and highlight how they are advantageous, right, for a SAN type scenario, SAN workload. And one of those is change analysis, right? And the thing here that's very relevant and very pertinent is that a lot of incidents, or the majority of incidents, are caused by change, right? So maybe a VM is provisioned on the wrong storage, for example, or lower tier storage than it needs to be in order to provide the performance for the application, for example. So in order to address that challenge, DII tracks all of the changes, and not just for SAN, right? You'll see here on the slide that some of these changes are relevant for a virtual machine or a path, right? So if a path is removed here at the bottom of the slide in a config change, that can obviously have adverse effects downstream, right, for the connected resources, storage, switch, host, and so on and so forth. And so with DII, those changes are all tracked. And you'll see here on the slide that it also looks at the correlated resources. Again, because we're plugged into the full set of resources from end to end, the platform DII uses AI and ML in order to provide those correlation statistics, right? So we'll see where the storage is correlated to the ESX host, right, in the middle of the slide. and so on and so forth. Or if we have a noisy neighbor or a greedy VM, that'll also get called out by the platform. So again, your teams, your administrators aren't spending their cycles trying to determine where the problem resides. They're spending their cycles actually fixing the problem. And so that can be a huge advantage. The next feature, the second of the third features, is what we call anomaly detection. And this is part of our monitoring feature where DII uses the algorithm to determine what a normal, quote unquote, normal operating window looks like. And this holds true for any of the performance metrics that we're capturing. So it could be relevant for SAN, it can be relevant for VMware, whatever resources we're monitoring, right? We can leverage anomaly detection to have the platform determine what a normal operating window looks like. And then when there is an abnormal trend or an anomaly on a per weekly basis, right, that will get highlighted here, as you see on the slide, with that orange rectangle where the performance either spikes or drops below that operating window that's defined by the platform. So it's really useful because, like the slide calls out, workloads can show seasonality. And so a lot of times it's noisy if you set up a monitor to just look at a set static value. So latency at 10 milliseconds, for example, or IOPS at whatever value, right? With anomaly detection, it helps reduce noise in the system and provides more valuable alerts that are actionable by your ops teams and your administrator teams. So another great feature here available in Data Infrastructure Insights. And then saving the best for last, perhaps, this is what we call our SAN Analyzer feature. This has the corresponding demo video in the blog post at the end of the slide. So really encourage you to take a look and see what this is all about. But again, just to kind of go over the basics here, SAN Analyzer is a feature that is coming soon to the platform, should be released by the end of the calendar year, and really helps provide teams visibility, again, from end to end, and can be filtered for a specific, let's say, cluster or VM or workload or application, so that you get a very curated view like we see here on the slide. So you'll have the compute instances on the left side, and then you'll have your switch in the middle and your switch ports in the middle. And then on the right-hand side, you'll have storage, for example, right? And so this is our VMware use case running on SAN, obviously, right? And for any of the performance degradation that's noticed by the platform, by DII, it will create those red circles around the relevant storage or compute or resource, right, where that's noticed. So again, helps in a troubleshooting scenario. The demo will take you through that troubleshooting flow. And in this particular case, we noticed that a VM that has backups running kicks off during the store DB production workload. And it turns out that they're both actually provisioned to lower tier storage than they need. And again, the video will do a really good job of highlighting that. So again, this is coming soon to the platform by the end of the calendar year. This will be available also in the trial mode if you choose to test the platform, again, for up to 60 days. Okay, let's see. So some of the benefits, right, of IT Ops with NetApp, with Data Infrastructure Insights: cost reduction, right? Being able to streamline operations, having not only the efficiency savings for compute and storage by optimizing those resources and how they're being consumed, but also freeing up your teams, your administrators to do other tasks, do other activities. So they're spending less time identifying root cause and more time either fixing issues or looking at optimization strategies, right? Or something that's more relevant, more valuable. Productivity boost, right? Up to 50%. And then faster resolution and enhanced IT reliability. The GigaOM report also does a really good job of looking at these numbers and showing how implementing data infrastructure insights helps organizations and put some numbers to those savings and those optimizations. So encourage you to take a look at that. Okay, next. So here as a closeout for the presentation, we've got our links. Again, the GigaOM reports there. We have our blog post there as the second bullet. And then again, everyone is welcome to try a demo, right, to see how this runs in your environment. We've got a link there to start a trial. And you can also find us on AWS Marketplace. We also have the ability to actually license and purchase the platform through AWS. Data Infrastructure Insights is a SaaS-based solution. It does run natively in AWS. So we do partner with AWS pretty extensively for this solution. And that's my story. We're happy to take some questions. I really appreciate everyone spending a few minutes with us this afternoon to cover DII.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Mark. Fantastic presentation, as we always get from NetApp. I'm going to put up the poll question now while we get the questions ready. So please let us know what additional information you would like about the NetApp solution. I also want to remind everyone about the handouts. Now, Mark referenced this a little bit too. We've got a great PDF from NetApp on enhancing observability and workforce efficiency. So be sure to check out that free resource if you would like more details. I'm just going to leave the poll question up here. Keep voting in that as we go forward. And we are going to get into your questions. You've been asking some great ones. So, Mark, first question for you today is from Adam. How does NetApp differentiate its hybrid multi-cloud solutions from other storage vendors, especially in terms of data mobility and cost optimization?
Yeah, fantastic question. Thanks, Adam. So with respect to data infrastructure insights, right, this solution we're talking about today, one of the key differentiators, right, is that the platform, again, being SaaS-based, but we also plug into multiple vendors' solutions, right, compute, storage, switch. We do so in an agentless fashion. I don't know that I mentioned that before, but for any of the on-prem solutions that we're talking about, whether it's NetApp storage or Pure or HP or IBM, right, or Dell, those don't require an agent for us. And we're able to, again, provide that end-to-end visibility, not just to the storage or the compute or the SAN, but also, VMware, and being able to identify the workloads that are running on the infrastructure, not just the infrastructure itself, right? So that's a key differentiator for us. Another one in terms of NetApp storage, right, is that NetApp is really the only vendor that provides first-party storage with ONTAP through each of the hyperscalers, right? So AWS has FSx for ONTAP, Azure has Azure NetApp files, and then Google has Google Cloud NetApp volumes. So you can consume your ONTAP either as a first-party service or run it using Cloud Volumes ONTAP, right, as if it were a physical array, and run it in the hyperscaler. So that's another huge differentiator, and customers are really embracing that, depending, again, on their business requirements, on their workload, and their performance that they need to run their applications in the cloud. So I think that's the other key differentiator. One other quick shout out there is that NetApp storage is very, very secure, right? So we're leveraging AI and ML to do real-time detection for ransomware and data destruction in ONTAP. So that's another huge, huge feature for us. Good question.
Yeah, absolutely. So next one up, Justin wants to know if the data infrastructure insights works at both a block and file level. Now, you mentioned the block, but he's mentioning specifically iSCSI, CIFS/SMB. What do you say about that?
Yes, DII, so Data Infrastructure Insights, covers all of those protocols. We're able to monitor and provide analytics and reporting and so forth for not just the fiber protocols, but also for the NAS protocols as well. Everyone knows NetApp is the NAS company and the file share company, right? So we plug into that quite well. So. Good question.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, thanks. Sean wants to know, how does NetApp simplify the management of hybrid and multi-cloud environments, and what are the key benefits compared to the competition?
Yeah, again, I know, sorry if I sound a bit like a broken record, but DII is one of the only solutions that's going to be able to look at on-prem as well as cloud native resources. And so that's a key differentiator. There are a lot of observability solutions in the market, right? It's a super crowded space and really competitive. But DII is one of the few that will provide visibility to the full, again, end-to-end picture, right? On-prem, cloud native, fiber, file, right? All of those platforms in a single console.
Okay, great to hear. Yeah, the single pane of glass, right? That old standby, but it is so important, especially in this age. Multi-cloud environments, hybrid environments, all these things you're talking about. So great to hear. Okay, I think we have time for one more question for you today, Mark, before we let you go. And comes from Michael, who wants to know, is NetApp storage system required to get DII to work?
Yeah, great question. The short answer is no. We're going to work with multi-vendor storage solutions. We work with VMware. We work with all of the standard or popular, I should say, storage providers in the data center space. So it could be NetApp, obviously. It could be Pure, HP, IBM, Dell EMC, all of the players or vendors, I should say, in that space are supported.
I love that you don't force your customers into lock-in, which is still a dreaded word for a very good reason. Yeah. So thank you. We still don't, like that. So I'm glad that's a great answer for Michael. Well, Mark, this has been so much fun today. Thank you for updating us on what NetApp is doing in this space. They're such a forward-looking company and well prepared to take customers into the year 2025, which is what we're talking about today, and beyond, as Buzz Lightyear might say. So thanks for being on today. It was a true pleasure to have you.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
Thank you. All right, folks. And with that, we are getting close to the end of our event today, but there are a few more things I have got to do first. I am going to leave this poll question up just for another minute. So take advantage now of that chance to vote and to download all of our handouts from all of our vendors today. They are still ready to go. All right. I have got, two more prizes. Our last two prizes to give away: the $300 Amazon gift card. The winner of that is Richard Wilhelm from Wisconsin. And the winner of our final MacBook Air today is Stephen Gadsby of Pennsylvania. Hey, that's great, Gadsby. All right, folks, see what I did there? Sorry. I cannot help myself. When I get a name like Gadsby, I must take advantage of it. So, Stephen, congratulations to you. I won't make jokes about your name anymore. Stephen, Richard, all of our winners today, we had 8 of you all together. So congrats to all of the winners. If you came on late or missed part of it and you didn't hear your name called, have no fear. We will be reaching out to each of you individually and letting you know how to get that prize. So with that, this was a total blast today. I had a great time. It seems like you attendees did too, except for that one little glitch there, but we smoothed that out, I think. And the gremlins seem to have gone away for now and left us alone. So if you think you could benefit from a similar type of event, we would love to hear from you. We've got multi-vendor events like this. We have single vendor events that we can custom create for you. Reach out to us and let us know what will work for you. We are at connect@actualtechmedia.com. So let us know and let's get that conversation rolling. What do you say, huh? And we heard a good bit about cybersecurity today and AI and all of those things. We have got some more training like that coming up tomorrow. In fact, it starts at noon tomorrow, and it is about building a robust security awareness program. One of our favorite security vendors, KnowBe4, is going to be presenting. They are always so entertaining and informative. Again, that starts at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Sign up right after the event today. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank all of our presenters today for putting together those amazing presentations, the demos, the Q&A insights. And it was just a delight, a total joy for me. I want to thank all of the attendees for being here. You're the reason we do this, absolutely. And I love reaching out and spending time with you. And thank you all for being here today. I want to thank our participants who made it possible for us to be here. And they include Nutanix, Okta, Rubrik, HPE, and NetApp. So, folks, that's a wrap for this MegaCast today. Go forth and be productive for the rest of your day. I cannot wait to see you in the next event. Have a great rest of your day, folks. See you next time.